heyday right now. It's 59 degrees, right? Or 37 degrees at 5:49 in the Calumet region. We got a big show today planned, just like always. If you miss any of it, then you missed it, okay? Rain is starting in 27 minutes. A little morning rain this morning and a high of 40 today. Just kind of the exact opposite of yesterday. Just cold, brisk, surprising slap of ice on your cheeks as you walked around. And since we are not used to this kind of cold, you actually didn't wear a hat or gloves and you were like, man, I was cold all day. Well, today you have rebounded and you're wearing a hat and gloves and you got the winter coat on and you got it zipped up and you wore an extra sweater. And then today it's like 30 degrees warmer, or it's going to be high of 34 tomorrow. Periods of clouds and sun. I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit of sun. How about you? 40, 34, 26, 25, 32. What? I'm not going to be here Friday morning. I got stuff to do. On Friday, we start a show, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it until maybe Friday, but it's going to be in the afternoon. And I'm doing it in conjunction with another media personality, and I'm not telling you who, but I'll tell you who's going to sit in here on Friday, and this is kind of crazy. He's going to sit in for me. He's from Highland. He's well known nationally in the sports world. That is Dan McNeil's going to sit in for me on Friday morning. I'm like, Danny, I got stuff to do. I got things going on. And he's like, hey, man, I'll tell you what. Super Bowl's coming up on Sunday. I'll tell you what, Jed, how about I sit in there for you on Friday? And I'm like, what a great idea. Because I was kind of wondering how I was going to be able to fit in girls basketball sectionals all week long. And then I was going to do this brand new show, which I will only hint at. And it's not really even on radio. It's just on Facebook Live. And then I'll tell you about it maybe on Friday or Thursday. I'll tell you on Thursday because I won't be here on Friday morning. So Danny Mack's going to sit for me on Friday. We got Pete Visklosky at 6:45. I'm trying to get the imam of the mosque in Highland at 7. If you know him, I was late last night. I was working on it. Started working on it at about 10:30. So we'll see. I don't know if Muslim imams sleep in real late, or they stay up late and don't get up, or they go to bed early and have been up for 3 hours. Either way, we're going to try to get the imam to call us and tell us about what's going on. Now, you had just all sorts of weird stuff going on, and you had the shooting in Quebec City, and then you had the rally last night in Munster for support of the mosque in Highland, led by a Presbyterian guy and a Jewish guy. So beats the Sam Hill out of me. Life is just making all sorts of people who are making different connections, and I can't make heads or tails. The only safe place is in the shower with this hot water just barreling down on you. And next thing you know, you've got peace of mind and you're doing a radio show. Anyways, that meandering weather report is brought to you by Laborers Local 41. Quality work provided by these proud men and women. All right, let's take a look at what's going on. And we did the weather. What else do we sometimes think about? Do. All my stuff on my board is gone here. So let's look here at what's going on in the traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford from 115th to 103rd maybe is tight already. So maybe it's this little I can't make up my mind rain or not rain that's going on. It's making things slick and people slow down a little bit, because we had none of this yesterday when it was clear and cold as all get out. Today it's 21 degrees warmer than it was at this time yesterday, and we have a little bit of traffic already on the Bishop Ford. The Dan Ryan looks good, though. The Skyway, the Rolto, the the Borman Academy Expressway, I-City 5, US 30, and Glen Avenue are all moving along pretty well. Traffic this morning brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. You know, before I forget to tell you, I got to tell you about another one here as we come up on the top of the hour. Hey, Beauty Rest Black is more than just a mattress. It's a haven for deep restorative sleep. With Beauty Rest Black, sleep truly is the ultimate luxury. See for yourself what happens when luxury meets technology. Tonight, dream in black. All right, I got a couple of things I want to hit you with, and I'm just going to talk about them off the top of my head. I don't know if you could make up what happened last night in America as well. First of all, we have this directive by Donald Trump to stop immediately immigration from 7 Muslim countries, and it has had ripple effects throughout the world and throughout our nation. It has had effects here locally, as you've even had local people who are stranded in their other countries. You have students who can't get back from doing their dissertations. You have brothers, sisters, mothers who went. I was reading one of the stories of the person going to school here in America, went home to see a sister who had cancer and now can't get back to finish her studies. And you got all that. You got all sorts of people stranded at airports. You got pretty much confusion because this wasn't telegraphed to anybody. So you've got people in airports, the security personnel. It's like, what in Sam Hill am I supposed to do? But then last night it got really squirrely. That would be the word. Now, the acting attorney general of the United States, Ms. Yates, what's her first name? Yolanda Yates? Let's give her a first name, huh? Let's just make up one because I'm pretty good at making the stuff up, as you well know. Yolanda Yates? No, it was somebody else. Well, Ms. Yates, right? She says, you know what? This Sally Yates. She says, you know what? This stuff by Trump about just targeting these Muslim countries that people can't come in is, I don't know if that is consistent with what the Justice Department is supposed to be doing. And she said, you know what, all of my Justice Department lawyers, that would be like David Kapp right over here, right? And it would be all the federal prosecutors. You guys can't defend this. Nope, I'm in charge of the Justice Department. And that's how it is. And then all hell started breaking loose. Is she doing the right thing? Is that constitutional? Is it constitutional for her to defend it? Or is it constitutional for her not to defend it? Is the right thing for her to use the Justice Department to carry out Donald Trump's directives? Or is the right thing for her to not do what Donald Trump wants? Beats the Sam Hill out of me, and evidently she was a bit conflicted also. And she said, you know what? I don't want anybody touching this. Don't be defending this. Yep. Well, I'm sitting there. I get home. Alexis and I went and had a very nice little meal and a little bit of fun over here at Byway Brewery on the way home. I worked all day and was there, and she worked all day. And I'm like, hey, you know what? We're empty nesters, and you have a hairy back. So why don't we go get a little something over here and go see Bronco and Phil Sign over at Byway Brewery. Yeah. Alexis had a really nice burger, and I had the kids' chicken tenders with an arugula salad. I bet no one's ever said that in the history of speaking. What did you have for dinner last night? Well, I had kitty chicken tenders along with an arugula salad with dried beets in it. Really? Yes, those words have never been strung together in the English language. But anyways, so we're watching going back between Bill O'Reilly and Anderson Cooper. And then Anderson Cooper starts again at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, I'm already falling asleep. I'm going up. And Alexis is like, you sure you're going to miss this? I'm like, yeah, I guess. All right, I'll sit here for a few more minutes. And I'm just about dozing in my Archie Bunker chair. And Anderson Cooper goes, well, I think we just found out that Sally Yates has been removed from her position by Donald Trump. It happened live in front of us, just about 7.3 feet away in the living room. And I'm like, wow, you really can't make this up. Thank you, honey, for not letting me go to bed and be snoring by 8:12 in the evening. So I'm like, all right, well, I listened to all of the banter back and forth, both on Fox and CNN. And then I'm like, all right, I kind of heard enough. I think I have stuff to go to bed with. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, what is going on around here? What it is ain't exactly clear, but there's a man with orange hair over there. And some of the people are saying, you got to beware. So, anyways, you get the idea. Craziness unfolds on television. And then you have Donald Trump tweeting in the midst of all of it. And one of the tweets was, you know what? I couldn't really tell people about my plan beforehand because then everyone would have flooded into the country and a lot of bad dudes out there. And you know what? I could take the whole text and everything of Donald Trump, and I get it, and I understand what's going on. But there's one thing that I'm really having trouble with our president, okay? And if he were here right now, I'd tell him. And if Mike Pence will ever, agree to an interview, I'd tell him also. I go, you got to stop with the exclamation points. Exclamation points in tweets, just shows a general lack of respect for the English language and for general communication in just it just sucks. Don't do it. A lot of bad dudes out there. Of course, evidently the tweet was actually pretty untrue because even if you said, hey, you know what, we're going to close the border in 2 days, yeah, maybe people with legal visas and green cards would come back and so forth, but it takes weeks to get a visa and years to get permission to come back to America. So it would be, it really wasn't true. So it doesn't really matter, though, because we're kind of living in a time where I'm like, does it really matter if it's true now? Does it really matter? And I'm not sure it really matters to many of us here in Middle America as long as you get the job done. You know what I mean? And I think that's how a lot of people feel. It's like Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Well, that's not really true. But, you got to take it in like a general sense. You know what I mean? And you can't really take it as a specific truth. You have to take it as something general. Don't hold Donald Trump to the specifics of what he's talking about or even to the truth of what he's talking about. Just understand the essence of it, okay? And then you have last night these folks saying, well, a bunch of people would stampede the country if we actually did this in an orderly fashion. So we just did it in a disorderly fashion. We said we told people in Congress, and then you have a bunch of Republican Congress people going, well, nobody told me. You know what it made me remember Vince Vaughn? There's a movie, and he's getting his house taken away from him. He's getting his house taken away from him, and he's sitting there in front of the bank person, and they're like, well, that's why we sent you all the stuff in the mail. And he goes, yeah, but nobody told me. Nobody told me. Well, that's how many of the Republicans, even the head of the national security, weren't told. So what is ain't exactly clear, but there's a man with orange hair over there. And how this is going to turn out, I got no idea, and neither do you. It could be amazing prosperity headed for America. It could be despair. I don't know. It could just be us moving along in general boredom. Who knows? But either way, the whole time you're going to need carpenters to build things, including the original carpenter may be invoked in these times of turmoil. Be right back on The Voice of the Region. It's Tuesday. That means Verley's here.
Carpenters Local 599 and other Carpenter Locals are men and women just like you, providing for their families, but also members of the community, so it's essential to give back. Some examples are the Down Syndrome Association of Northwest Indiana, Toys for Tots, playgrounds, wheelchair ramps, and scholarships, just to name a few. Everything we do is rooted in enriching the lives of others. For more information on how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Hello, everybody. This is Raimundo Garcia speaking. You know, the busboy from El Taco Real. I'm here at WJLB to announce that I am not the most interesting man in the world. I use bar soap when I shave. I once ate a hot dog with ketchup on it. I put my jeans on one leg at a time. When I drink beer, I sometimes drink Dos Equis. Sometimes I drink Corona. Sometimes I drink margaritas, and sometimes I drink Bordeaux. I don't always eat Mexican food, but when I do, I eat at El Taco Real. At El Taco Real, you can get Dos Equis, Corona, great margaritas, as well as fine wine. So when you want great Mexican food, go to El Taco Real. I'm the busboy, Raimundo Garcia, and not the most interesting man in the world. El Taco Real is located on Hoffman Street between Calumet and Columbia Avenues in beautiful North Hammond, Indiana. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 to till 10, Friday and Saturday from 11 to 11, and Sunday from 11 till 9. Stay hungry, my friends.
Theo's Steak and Seafood in Highland sets the standard for fine dining excellence. Delicious USDA prime meats along with the freshest seafood in the area, and is open for lunch and dinner. Celebrate your special event in one of our private dining rooms, or Theo's To Go Catering will cater your wedding or special party. Make a reservation by calling 219-838-8000 or see our menu at theoshighland.com. Visit our other Theo's group restaurants, Ted's Family Restaurant in Calumet City, Prime Steakhouse, and Umi Sushi and Lounge in Crown Point.
Knock, knock. Who's there? What'd you say to me, Ryan? Slow? It's slow. The computer is slow. Is it still streaming? That's all that matters. All right. Hey, we're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. And part of it is you're doing it to two places, Ryan. But, all right, these guys want me to buy a new computer. I'm pretty sure it's $14.99. So, hey, brother, can you spare a dime? Hey, brother, can you spare a dime for a computer? Hey, if you want to buy our computer, we'll call it if your name is Harry, we'll call it the Harry Computer. Yeah, I like that. Let's go to the Harry Computer over there. Thank you. We're streaming live today on the Harry Computer, 605 in the Calumet region. Hey, it's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. What do you have here? A high of 40 today, a little morning rain. Tomorrow, it's a high of 34, periods of clouds and sun. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it gets quite a bit colder. It's down into the low teens on some of those days. Mostly cloudy and windy today. A little morning rain followed by a couple of flurries this afternoon. So I guess it gets colder as the day goes on because this morning is it raining? Is it not? It's not. It is. Anyways, it says here it's supposed to start raining in about 12 minutes. Sunrise at 7:03. You won't see much of it since it's so cloudy. Weather brought to you this morning by Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. And what do you have in terms of the traffic? 294 looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford's a little bit tight already. So is the southern end of the Dan Ryan. We'll keep an eye on it. And then Skyway Toll Road, Barman I-65, US 30 and Klein Avenue. Let's tell the world. Do you like what Donald Trump's doing right now? I know that's a national topic and so forth, but it is national topics that's kind of invading our lives. We have plenty of stuff going on around here, including more front page stories about Jamal Washington. And I don't see the story in here from Michelle Quinn about I must just be an onliner until she comes in here. It's not real until she gets in here and tells us about it. But we got Michelle Quinn coming in. We got Pete Visklaski. I might have the imam from the Muslim mosque in Highland. But what we have right now, it is Tuesday. Drum roll, please. That means that Verley Suggs is amongst us. How you doing, Verley?
Good morning, Jim. Fastest way to clear your phone line is for you to say Verley's in the house.
Right, where'd Walt go?
You know, Walt only talks to people who he feels he can impress.
Ooh, baby. Walt, I believe, Walter. I believe it's a double dog dare right there, Walt. Give us a buzz. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Oh, you're growing your hair out again?
Yes.
It's a little bit longer in the back now, huh?
Yeah.
Who does your hair?
Me. That's one of the beauties of black women. You know, our hair is never the same. We have all kinds of enhancements.
You know, it is a little bit different. I mean, last time you were here, it was like kind of a shorter cut, like a mod 60s cut.
Right. Yeah. We have all kinds of things. That's why there's so many beauty supply houses around here. Because that's where we spend our money.
Cali Beauty Supply. And she's Verley Suggs. I'm Jim Deedlow. And you're just a person that is driving around America trying to figure out what in Sam Hill's going on. And why don't we just start out with a phone call? Would that be all right with you?
That sounds great to me.
Let's go to Dave from Crown Point. How you been, man?
Hey, that was dodgeball with Vince Vaughn.
Thank you. I knew a degenerate like you would know that.
You realize how tall that guy is? Me and my wife literally ran into that guy on Michigan Avenue one day. And, man, he's got to be about 6'5", 6'6", if I had to guess.
Ryan's going to look it up right now because there's this thing called the internet now, and gosh, he could figure out stuff like that. What's going on, man? How's the world treating you now?
Fantastic, actually.
Tell us.
It couldn't be better.
Tell us, let's talk about this. What is it you like about what Donald Trump is doing right now?
Well, Jim, I like to look at things in a different perspective. I look at myself as the employer. Back in November, I was doing interviews. Let's look at it in those terms. I hired the guy that I felt was best to do the job. As an employer, I couldn't be happier with my employee at this point, because everything he told me he's going to do when he gets hired, he's following through on.
What about how he's doing it? What about how he implemented the ban on immigration from the 7 Muslim countries?
How should he do it, Jim? Should he say he's going to do it and just offer rhetoric and not follow through with it? Or should he actually do what he's promising, what he promised the U.S. citizens that he's going to do?
You know what? I'm asking you the question, and if do you think it was implemented in the right way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The guy, get used to it. You got 8 years of this, okay? He ran under the pretense that he's going to make America great again, and he's not wasting any time.
All right, man. Hey, I wanted some straight from the heart and some very, degenerate movie talk, and you gave us both to us.
Well, and I mean, just to one other point. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to get into the financial burden that all these illegals are putting on us, not to mention the risk. You look at 9/11, and I sleep better these days knowing that I have a president that has his nation's best interest in mind.
What do you mean the financial and safety burden of illegals?
The Medicare, the welfare, all the costs that we taxpayers have to absorb for harboring these illegal aliens is a huge financial burden on our nation.
All right, hold on a second. I think Verley wants to chime in.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Dave. Talk to you. Hey, let's go to, you don't want to comment on that?
There's so many misguided individuals out there, and over 3 million people more did not hire this dude to be the president. To me, he is the biggest weapon of mass destruction we could ever have come into this country. He is creating chaos. And just like most people who rise to power as dictators, he is on the road. You don't like what he says or does, you're fired, just like his little reality show. Someone tries to be a moral compass to say, you know what, Mr. President, maybe what you're doing is not the right thing to do. You're fired. Rather than step back, take a look at a person who's been in a position in the State Department for almost 30 years, who is an attorney as well. Of course, they're in that position. And say, you know what, maybe there is a better way to do this. He shoots from the hip, just like a lot of those gangbangers. They just shoot. And sadly, the innocent, the vulnerable get killed in the mass of his shooting. It's crazy. And to say that illegal immigrants are such a drain, first of all, the people who were trying to come into this country were not necessarily legal immigrants, illegal immigrants. Secondly, there are so many immigrants in this country, whether they're legal or not, who work very hard every day to support their families and contribute to this economy, that can't even file a tax return and get back those taxes they pay. So to say that they are such a huge drain, my goodness, what is this country? All these people that kill me that are first generation here, whose parents came over here from Romania or wherever else they came from, should appreciate the fact that this country welcomed them in.
219-845-1100. Is Trump doing the right thing? I want to hear from you guys. What do you think, huh? Yes or no, or I don't really care, or it's too much. I can't process it all. Whatever you have, I want to hear it. Let's go to Bob on line 1. Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Jim. I don't know if this is on the internet yet. You know, I know on YouTube that a lot of things make it onto YouTube. But if anybody wants to have a really good laugh, I was flipping around last night, and on MSNBC at about 5:30, Greta Van Susteren had gone to Washington, D.C. live outside the Supreme Court for a big rally. And, Jimmy, it was the funniest damn thing I have ever seen. You had all the Democratic fossils out there. You had Schumer. You had Nancy Pelosi. It was so poorly executed. The Democrats need the media because they couldn't do it on their own. They couldn't get the microphones to work. So somebody yells, well, lean into the microphone. Nancy Pelosi leans into the microphone and starts screaming and then goes, oh, well, that's not working. The bullhorn didn't work. They were looking for the people to speak, and they said Senator Smith. Well, he's not there. Congressman whatever. Well, no, he's not there. Well, maybe we should just sing a song. So they all start singing God Bless America. It was the funniest damn thing, Jim, I have ever seen in my life. If this is the opposition to what President Trump is doing, they need the media on their side. They absolutely need it because Greta Van Susteren, to her credit, did not break away. She showed this bunch of ragtag fossil losers what they actually look like, how incompetent they looked. They actually came up with another bullhorn, and that didn't work. It was the funniest damn thing I've ever seen, Jim. It was pathetically funny. And if anybody gets a chance to see it, it's got to be on YouTube. Somebody has to have put this on the internet somewhere.
Hey,
And
Bob, let's
audio.
let's go to the substance of what's happening here. Donald Trump has come out.
I agree with what Donald Trump is doing because he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And that freaks everybody out, too. That freaks everybody out. You actually have a guy that said he's going to do X, Y, and Z and went in there and is doing X, Y, and Z. You had Barack Obama on the day he was elected said that this was the day the earth was going to heal and the waters were going to drop. You talk about an egotistical, arrogant SOB. He was going to close down Guantanamo Bay. He was going to pull the troops out of everywhere. He was going to heal the earth.
All right. Hey, Bob.
Now, let me finish. And you actually
Sure.
have a president now who got elected, who ran on issues and is actually following through on them. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, he is a man of his word at this point.
All right, man.
I love
Hey,
it.
thank you.
I love
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate
Later.
it. Talk to you. 219-845-1100. Let's see what Al has to say. Hi, Al. What do you think?
Hey. Yeah, Trump is an expert at fanning the flames of this racial tension. It's like watching Vince McMahon on the World Wrestling Federation. And that's what he's good at. He just he doesn't have really a whole lot of steadfast positions. He'll take any position and tell you anything you want to hear at any given moment. But, I find it ironic that people love this firing that Trump did of this acting Attorney General, Miss Yates. And ironically, the candidate for the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, interviewed Miss Yates when she was confirmed for Deputy Attorney General. This is Deputy.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked her, he said, you have to watch out because people will be asking you to do things you need to say no about. Do you think as Attorney General it's your responsibility to say no to the President if he asks of something that's improper? He asked that on her confirmation hearing. Now she goes and does it and actually follows through, true to her word. But I think this dog and pony show is going to continue to go on, and hopefully it won't end in too much violence. But I think Pence is waiting in the wings, and that's maybe the plan all along. Trump will be out, he'll self-destruct, and we'll be stuck with Pence.
What do you mean won't end in too much violence?
There's a lot of, I look at the internet, and I'm sure you do, and Verley do too. You see all these references to guns, and if you remember, the sales of guns, the sales of ammunition, all 8 years while Obama was president. People were touting how sales were going up and astronomical record-setting sales, and these people keep fanning these flames, and I hope this battle ends peaceably, but and it remains to be a battle of ideas, not a battle of where Trump's taken it to. I mean, this isn't professional wrestling. You know what I mean? This is the real deal here. You know, people's lives are impacted.
All right, man. Thank you so much. One final one, then Verley and I will comment. Let's go to Fernando. Hey, Fernando, you're it, buddy. Hey,
Good morning, Fernando.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Fernando's on the local 599 phone line. Turn your radio down and tell us what's going on.
Well, pretty much what was going on during the election thing. Trump is really out of his mind, and Bob and Mad Mac and all these other people that are standing with him. It's just like, you know, we have more Mad Max than I realized if this guy got elected, you know. I don't know. It's just funny how we've got into this. He's firing. Didn't Nixon fire Attorney General Cox or something like that back then? Was that the last time the president fired an Attorney General?
That was Saturday Night Massacre. He did the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General. And if I remember correctly, it was because they would not fire the special prosecutor.
Right.
Yeah. So why do you draw a parallel to the Saturday Night Massacre?
Because I think you had two arrogant people that were presidents, and they were both underhanded, and they're both not good for the country. And this is what we're going to be ending up with. We're seeing him right away, where it took a while for people to really see through Nixon. He was even vice president for a while. And unfortunately, we're stuck with him.
All right, man.
But one more thing.
Sure.
Verley, I wasn't called last week, and I didn't. But did either one of you hear about the mayor of Corpus Christi, Texas, who resigned via Facebook? I just thought I'd give Verley a little ammunition there.
Since I'm not on Facebook, I guess I didn't see it.
Right.
All right.
Who's our mayor? I don't know.
All right, man.
Check it out.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
I have more, but I forgot already.
Hey, that's all right, man.
You gotta write it down next time, Fernando.
Talk to you. Thanks a lot. 621 in the Calumet region, and Verley and I will comment on this and a bunch of local stuff right after this. Are you hungry? Are you thinking about a margarita pizza that is better than any in all the world? All you got to do is go to Cherville, right over by Showplace, and go see Giuseppe.
Everything Italian. That's what you get at Giuseppe's Restaurant in Cherville.
Hi, this is Joe from Giuseppe's Everything Italian. Here today to let our friends and listeners to WJOB know about the few things that we have added. We offer catering now, catering for your party, family event, or even for businesses. Just give us a call at Giuseppe's at 322-0011 and ask for Joe. Thank you.
Giuseppe's Everything Italian is located at 1000 Eagle Ridge Drive in Cherville, just north of the Showplace Theaters, 219-322-0011, or visit giuseppespizza.net.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. Certified Angus Beef Eye of Round Roast, $2.99 a pound. 3-pound bag Red Delicious Apples or 4-pound bags of seedless navel oranges, buy one, get one free. 7-Up RC Sunkiss Select Varieties, $2.77 each when you buy 4. Limit 2 offers. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
Napleton River Oaks Honda has been serving Northwest Indiana for generations and is still going strong today. Now we're extending Napleton employee pricing to you, our neighbors. Check out riveroakshonda.com. Plus, local military, police, and firefighters get an additional $1,000. Napleton River Oaks Honda, right off 94 on Torrance.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
On select models, excludes Honda Fit, CRZ, HRV, and Insight. $1,000 dealer discount. Service verification required.
Have you been told you need a root canal? Are you suffering from tooth pain? Dr. Michael Mintz and Ileana Endodontics are specialists in root canals and use microscopes, digital radiography, and all the latest dental technologies to provide you with a gentle, caring experience. Whether it's diagnosis, therapy, or surgery, Dr. Michael Mintz and Ileana Endodontics are root canal experts. Contact the Dyer office at 219-865-9790, located at 934 Richard Road, or the Chicago Heights office at 708-755-2021, located at 500 Ashland Avenue. Dr. Michael Mintz and Ileana Endodontics, specialists in saving teeth. See our website, ileanaendo.com.
Hey, what's going on? 624 in the Calumet region. It's 37 degrees, quite a bit warmer than this time yesterday. A little morning rain, a high of 40. Tomorrow, high of 34, periods of clouds and sun. And then Thursday and Friday, it gets down into the low teens overnight. It stays in the mid-20s, so got some cold weather coming. All this stuff that's coming down is going to freeze. Mostly cloudy and windy today, a little morning rain followed by a couple flurries this afternoon. And then the normal high is 33. We were already well above that. 37 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It's the last day for last week's sales, and then the new flyer comes out tomorrow is Senior Day. Gino and I set to go to Strachan Van Til's in Munster after his show and get our senior discount tomorrow. That'll be my first time I ever got it, and I'm very excited about that. How many times I've been in line behind people who are getting 10% off on the first Wednesday of the month, and I was just very jealous, and now here we are. It turned 55 degrees just a few days ago, and here we go. It is the first of hopefully many senior discounts at Strachan Van Til grocery stores. And then what do you have? Weather this morning brought to you by Certified Electrician. All you got to do is go to CertifiedElectrician.com if you got electrical work going on. Let's take a look at traffic. Napleton, River Oaks, Honda. 294 looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Division 4's already tight. 115th on up to about 95th. We'll keep an eye. Anybody on that road or anybody with traffic, you know how it works. You text or call 221-984-5100. The Dan Ryan itself is okay. Jane Burns starting to get bad around 35th. Skyway Toll Road, Barman I-65 are moving along pert darn well. Markets yesterday got a little spankety wank and crankshank, and let's see what they're doing overnight here. They are down 25. That's really not much. It was down about $1.40 yesterday, so we're back below 20,000. I've told you guys about this ledge. You don't a market doesn't rise and then flatten out and just stay there and then rise again. Usually, it may just be gathering steam to go up, but it also, in my mind, just from a technical chart standpoint, presents some danger. None of the fundamentals really come into that. It's just, where would this go? If I was trading it right now, and I'd gotten short above 20,000, I'd hold on for a little while just to see what's going on. Beats the Sam Hill out of me. Oil's about $52.50. Verley.
You know what? I have to respond real quick to Fernando about the mayor of Corpus Christi because I had to look it up real quick and because I hadn't heard the story. But it appears that Dan McQueen, he's 57, and it's very similar to this past election for president. He won unexpectedly. He beat a two-term incumbent, Nelda Martinez. His first crisis was a leak from a chemical plant, which he didn't handle very well. In council meetings, they said he was heavy-handed with council members and disrespectful of their efforts to keep their obligations to keep the constituents informed. Also, he said that his frustration built as the local media tried to investigate his background. And then he refused to start answering questions from the media and instead started posting on Facebook. So this pretty much mirrors President Trump. He refuses to respond to media. He answers on tweets. He's disrespectful. It's wow.
Well, here's the thing about that. I understand as a media person that, that over time, the importance of what we do is integral. What we do is integral to how this democracy can work. Without a free press, you don't have a democracy.
Exactly.
You have dictatorships. So when they call it the fourth estate, it's got to be there. And no matter, right now we have like a 13% approval rating in America. So Donald Trump knows that, and he's plugging into it very smartly. It's actually a rather genius move. What he's doing is he's bypassing the press and going straight to Twitter and to coached press conferences and where he doesn't really have to sit up and answer very tough questions, and he's able to control the narrative that way, and he is plugged into an anti-media sentiment that is real.
That is real, but it's scary for anyone out there who sees through what he's doing, because there's such a mass of people who buy into his tweets and his rhetoric.
Well,
and that's why he's in office.
Let's analyze a couple of things that just went down in case you went to bed early last night. Of course, there is still quite a bit of hullabaloo and protesting, and there are a number of people caught in other countries, and they got detained at airports and so forth because of the directive by Donald Trump to not allow people from 7 Muslim countries to come to America under any circumstances right now. That's it. And so people are stranded. And you guys have heard a lot of those different stories. There's quite a bit of an outrage, not only amongst the Democrats, but amongst a number of Republicans. You heard John McCain and Lindsey Graham last night just take it to task. You had a number of other Republicans just very critical of what's going on, including Mitch Daniels last night. Did you read his tweet?
Mitch Daniels is the president of Purdue University. He has professors. He has students. All these universities, Valpo, IU, they're all concerned about this. Mitch Daniels has always been a smart man.
Hey, Ryan, would you put a call into his office today to see if he'll call in and talk about what he had to say yesterday? And I would like to find that exact quote out of what he put out. But basically, it's not a really good idea what Trump's doing right now. So, but you do, on the other hand, you have Trump Nation that is very excited about what's going on right now. You heard it from Bob. You heard it from... we haven't heard from Walt yet. Walt, where you at? Walt, Dave from Crown Point, you heard it from Bob. Anybody else wants to call in? And the question basically is Trump doing the right thing is still out there, 219-845-1100.
You know what?
But hold on a second. Let me follow this through. There's a lot of people that think that Donald Trump is doing the right thing. He's basically doing what he said he was going to do during his election, which there is truth to this.
Oh, he's definitely doing what he said he would do. And that's why the majority of citizens of this great country did not vote for him, because they knew he would do what he promised to do on the campaign trail. So when people like Bob call in and they want to call the former president a SOB, give me a break. He had a mother who was married to his father. Where do you get off calling him that? Yes, he wanted to unite this country. Is that wrong to have that I can't even get the word out of my mouth. Ideology. I mean, I watch one thing about it, because you went to college with President Obama, and there's a movie out called Barry, and it talks about his days after Berkeley when he went to Columbia for a grad school. And it shows the young man that he was right after he probably left you in California. And as he was going through a transition to becoming Barack Obama, he was using the name Barry because he was trying to assimilate. And so when he became president, yes, he wanted to see this rose-colored glass of what this country should be like. And sadly, people like Mitch McConnell and people like Bob and others who call this station never gave him a chance. They never gave him due respect, this Harvard graduate, this Columbia grad school graduate. They always said he was a South Side organizer. They tried to diminish who the president was his entire 8 years in office. They didn't give him the opportunity to give hearings for his person for the Supreme Court. But now we're complaining because Sessions is getting a delay, or DeVos is getting a delay, or anybody else that Trump may bring before them is getting a delay. You didn't give the person who was president before the right to have his nominee heard.
Let's look at the specifics of how it went down last night. Now, of course, there's quite a bit of hullabaloo right here in Munster last night. There was a march right over at Munster Town Hall in support of the Highland Mosque. I mean, of course, there was a huge shooting on Sunday night of a mosque in Canada, and there is concern about the safety and acceptance of Muslim people in general parts of America. And a number of clergy came out in Munster yesterday and said, you know what, we stand with our Muslim brothers and sisters. And you had that going on. At the same time, Sally Yates, the Attorney General of the state of the nation right now, she came out and said, you know what, it's not consistent with what the Office of Attorney General should be doing, and we should not be defending what Donald Trump has come up with, and she ordered all of the, Dave Capps of the world not to support it and not to defend it, and they would have to abide by that. So later in the evening, Trump just fired her.
Yep.
And it all played out on TV and on the radio and on the internet. And I don't know if you could make it up, man. If you went to a movie and somebody did that movie, you'd come out and you go, man, I hate it when they do unrealistic stuff.
This is just the beginning. This whole country is going to be in unrealistic mode for the next 4 years, or unless something happens before then that this guy's impeached or whatever. But for the next 4 years, we're going to be in unrealistic mode, or rather reality TV, because every day it's going to be something different. One of my biggest complaints about our former Attorney General for the state of Indiana, your friend, Mr. Zeller, was that he never stood up to some of the things that Pence wanted him to move forward on. The Affordable Care Act, he went all the way to the Supreme Court with that. Gay and lesbian marriages, same-sex marriages, fighting against it. There's points where you can say, you know what, Mr. Governor, maybe this is not the right stance that we should take in this state of Indiana. RFRA might not be such a good choice to make. And Ms. Yates, I applaud her 100% for taking a stand. I'm sure her no job is that important that you do something that is against your moral values to keep that job, because there is no job that I would ever take that would make me stand against what I believe in.
219-845-1100. Let's go to Carpenter's local 599 phone line. Let's go to Deb on line 1. Hi, Deb. How you been?
Good morning. I so enjoy your program every morning. Just want to put my little 2 cents in. All the people that are upset about our new president, the rest of us that wanted him in, we feel your pain because we just went through it for 8 years. And all these celebrities who are nobody in my book that said that they were going to leave the country, please go. You've got the financial means to do it. Just leave. We don't need you. And that's it.
Right now, do you feel that Donald Trump is doing what you elected him to do?
Absolutely. And just like the other caller from Crown Point or wherever it was that said he's sleeping better at night, I am too. He's doing what he said he would do that many politicians who get into office don't do. And he said he was going to do it right away, and he's doing it.
I agree with you on this one, Deb. I think that there should really be no surprise because this was a telegraphed plan by Donald Trump. But I got to ask you this. In the ways that he is implementing these things, is he putting American servicemen and America in general in any danger by the way that he is inflaming the Muslim community?
I don't think so. They come over here to our country. They have no American rights. They don't have our rights, and they need to abide by what he's doing. And no, I don't think anybody is going to be in any more harm. No, I'm happy.
What would you say to Muslims right now that feel as if they're being targeted by Donald Trump and they're angry and they're upset and they're feeling prejudiced against? What would you say to them?
I really don't have a comment for that because, if you're here legally and you're paying your taxes and you become a citizen, have at it. Do it, be happy, live. Otherwise, you don't belong here.
What do you mean? What do you mean you don't belong here?
Well,
just if you're illegal, or you don't belong here if you're a Muslim?
No, if you're illegal, it has anybody, not just Muslims. If you're anybody that's illegally here, either get legal or go back.
But I want to get to the core of this. I understand the legality of the situation. I just wonder how you feel if the Muslims that are maybe listening to this or walking around Northwest Indiana in the Calumet region, they're going to go out today and they're going to know that there are a number of people that are being a little bit more open of their dislike of them just because they're Muslim. What would you say to those people who are being prejudiced against in that way?
That they're not the only ones that have been treated that way before. Every race has felt this at some point. And, it's going to be okay. People need to calm down and accept the fact that we have a new president who's getting things done.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot for your call. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You know what's funny? When President Trump was running for office, one of the things he said was he likes the poorly educated people because they'll believe anything, they'll buy into anything, and basically that's what they do. The majority of people who support some of the things he's doing have never been outside this country other than some all-inclusive resort in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, or Los Cabos or Cozumel. They have no clear understanding of globalization, the fact that Americans travel to countries all over the world. Many of these countries that they have just put a ban on, we have American citizens right there now. They don't understand the difference between someone who's here illegally versus someone who's just traveling into this country to do business, who's traveling on a visa, who's a student. They don't understand any of that. They're very clueless. So when you sleep better at night, man, I was sleeping fine. I've been sleeping well all my life, regardless to whether it was Bush in office, Reagan in office, Johnson, Kennedy, President Obama.
I got to take a little issue with what you just said because I do believe that this is part of the problem of what is happening, not just in the media, but in Democratic elite and in college campuses and so forth. To say that uneducated people are clueless to the globalization of the world, are clueless to who's legal and who's not legal, I think that's not being fair.
It's being fair. First of all, my comment was based on what President Trump said, that he likes the uneducated people. Okay, I use that reference
to
say what I had to say because they are clueless. When you have someone who just gets on the radio and says, well, they're not here legally, about U.S. rights. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about a ban on refugees. We're talking about a ban on let's say this big story that's brought up. The Iraqi general who is helping the U.S. forces over in Iraq to battle ISIS. They moved his family to the U.S. to protect them because they are a target over there. He wanted to come for the weekend to visit them. They did not allow him into the country. He's over there helping U.S. soldiers. I have been to the Middle East. I have been to Guantanamo Bay. I understand that we have CIA agents and people all over the world protecting the interests of American people. And there are people in those countries who risk their life every day to help America. And when you just blatantly say that no one can come, I understand vetting. I have no problem with extreme vetting. But when you put a blanket statement and a blanket ban on people from coming into this country who have loved ones here, all you do is create animosity. It's just like what happens in the civil rights movement and with Emmett Till. What you did was when one black person was hung or lynched, you created an animosity among all black people. When a young man is shot in the streets of Chicago by a policeman, you create an animosity against police among a lot of people. So what the president is doing, he's not helping to heal this country. He's not helping to fight ISIS. All he's doing is taking that young guy who's on the computer right now, who was probably born in this country, and making him look and say, you know what, maybe ISIS is the right thing for me to be a part of it. Maybe I'm going to do something and go in a movie theater or do something to get back, like what happened in Quebec City.
209-845-1100. Let's go to Cindy on line one. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Hi, good morning. My opinion is, if you're going to talk about immigration and people that are here that aren't here legally, let's talk about everybody. Everybody always refers to Mexican people, but there's a lot of Serbian people, Polish people. When I went to high school, most of my friends' parents were Polish, and a lot of them were here undocumented. And they were here, undocumented. So when somebody comes to our country and they're trying to gain citizenship And if they get a traffic ticket or something, they right away want to deport them. But here, we have Americans that are always, they have long lists of offenders, and we keep them here. We have them here. We're stuck with them. Our prisons are full of these people. And here you do one thing wrong and they want to deport you right away. I mean, that doesn't seem fair, and that doesn't seem like the America that I know. And so I wish when people talk about immigration reform, they talk about all the cultures, not just Mexicans, because I feel that they are just pinpointing one race, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all.
You're right.
You know what? We've kind of gotten off of the we got off the Mexican thing for a couple of days, but that was the topic du jour last week about build the wall. That's almost entirely been forgotten. We're into a new cycle right now. Let me ask you this. All right, go ahead.
You know what? I know the president can do things, but he doesn't think that he's going to get somebody's going to stop him along the way, which people are. They're going to battle him back, and if you feel that you're making the America safer, you're not, because you're just causing other problems with other countries. That here they don't want them in other countries already, and here we've been friends with these other countries forever, and you're putting our army, our military, in harm's way, and people just all they think about is themselves and their needs. They are thinking on a global.
Okay, all right. Hey, Cindy, I don't mean to cut you off, but Pete Voskowski's on line 6, okay? I'll be right back.
Right.
Thank you so much. 219-845-1100, and on Carpenter's Local 599 is our congressman, and that's Pete Voskowski. Congressman, thanks for calling in this morning.
Tim, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Verley Suggs is with here. Let's get right to it.
Good morning, Congressman Pete.
Good
morning.
I don't know if you just heard Cindy on hold right there. She, there's a lot of people that are kind of up in arms right now and are really not sure what in Sam Hill's going on. But Cindy's last comment there, maybe you heard it, that Donald Trump is putting our military in harm's way. I'm sure you got a few things to say about the executive orders that are coming out. Just take it away.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the opportunity, and I would just suggest a couple of things. One, I absolutely believe, we all do, that as citizens of the United States, we have an interest in knowing about every person who wants to come to the United States. The president's statements over the last couple of days, as well as his executive orders, implies that we were not caring about that in the first place and not doing a good job of vetting. Most national security experts of both parties agree that our vetting process is one of the most stringent in the world. Typically, it takes up to 18 months to 2 years to screen a refugee before he or she sets foot on American soil. Having said that, I would also suggest we can always do better. So I would not disagree with the assertion we ought to examine the vetting process, and if it can be improved, we should do so. We should do it for everyone coming into the country, not just a specific class of persons. The second problem I have is for the executive order to prioritize people coming in to the United States of America on grounds of religion is absolutely false, and I think it's absolutely contrary to our way of life and the Constitution of the United States. On a Christian broadcast network over the weekend, he said it was impossible for Christians to be admitted under the previous administration. The Pew Research Center categorically denies that and suggests there was only about 1,000 individual difference between Christians and Muslims who were admitted from that region of the world. About 37,000 Christians, 38,000 Muslims. It's just false. Muslims provide invaluable contributions to our community in Northwest Indiana, in the United States of America, just as everyone else of every other religious belief do as well. And the only other thing I was...
Congressman, let me ask you this. Let's talk about local Muslims. Any that might have relatives that are stranded overseas, what can they do?
I would suggest that they immediately call our office, and that number is 219-795-1844. They can also go online, and they would go to www.visklosky.house, We're at this point working on 2 individual cases at this point. So I would encourage anyone who's having an individual problem to please call our office. Also would point out to have joined with a number of my colleagues on legislation that would simply repeal this executive order. I have to be frank, I don't see that there's much chance of that being adopted in the current Congress, but do believe the fight and the statement has to be made that we cannot begin distinguishing citizens of the United States by category. This is a very, very dangerous road the President of the United States has embarked upon.
Sally Yates was fired last night by Donald Trump. Your thoughts?
He's President of the United States. I would hope that the President understands he also needs good advice and feedback from those who are in the government of the United States. I would also point out we have heard from officials in the state of Indiana who are very concerned about another executive order this past week, and that is that we should have a blanket hiring freeze. I understand that many people simply categorically don't like federal employees for whatever reason and have this stereotypical attitude about them. They provide services. People get Social Security checks once a month because of federal employees. They get a Medicare assistance because of federal employees. There are federal employees trying to clean up a problem in East Chicago that endangers people's health and safety. They work for our national defense at the Department of Defense. Again, that is what we do every day on the Appropriations Committee on which I serve, is to do oversight. There are some agencies, instead of simply having across-the-board freezes, across-the-board cuts, they ought to be eliminated, or they ought to be adjusted. And in others that are doing a good job, they should be increased.
Verley Suggs is here.
So again, there's just a number of problems that are being created here.
Congressman Viskowski, as far as moving forward, Jeff Sessions is in the wings waiting to be confirmed as Attorney General. The president is talking about getting rid of a lot of the bureaucracy in terms of the EPA and things like that. And you just mentioned what's going on in East Chicago. What will you as a congressman do to put a halt to some of these things before it gets so far out of hand?
First thing is to assist those who are being, in this case, abused and hurt. And again, would suggest anyone, because of the executive orders relative to immigration, ought to call our Maryville office today. We can only promise we can do our best. Secondly, as I also mentioned on the executive order, I'm a co-sponsor of legislation already in the Congress to overturn it. I would emphasize elections do matter. I am going to fight as hard as I can. I am in a minority party in both houses of Congress. But I, again, am just appalled that the leader of this nation is beginning within 10 days of his administration to distinguish between various Americans because of religion. Tomorrow, it may be heritage. The next day, it may be what you look like. This is a dangerous and unacceptable and un-American road to go down, and we'll do everything I can to turn it back.
Congressman, final question. I just heard from Cindy as you were calling Mexican-American. A lot of Mexican-Americans here in Northwest Indiana, they're concerned about the rhetoric. They're also concerned about the building of the wall. What do you say to Mexican-Americans here in Northwest Indiana who are feeling maybe some of the same pressures that Muslims are feeling?
Again, they need to understand that I am appalled by this distinction of classes, again, religion or heritage, and they have to know I and others are doing everything possible. They also individually, in a civil manner, have to make their voices known to both myself as well as their elected senators. They ought to span out as far as their relatives and friends in other congressional and state jurisdictions, and to make their voice heard. People have suggested to me that there's going to be 4 years of this. The president's elected for 4 years. There are 5 intervening elections before the next presidential election, so people also need to take action. You saw demonstrations over the last 2 weeks. People also whatever their beliefs are, need to take appropriate, and again, in a very civil fashion, but very deliberate fashion, political action as well.
He's
But
the
as far as our southern border, as I mentioned in our town forums this year, we have borders with Canada. We have ports of entry on the Pacific Ocean, on the Atlantic Ocean. We have an international port of entry in the 1st Congressional District. We have an interest to focus on one country, to focus on one group is absolutely wrong.
Hey, we got Congressman Pete Visclosky. Congressman Lopez said 8 minutes. You went 9. If you got anything else you want to say to people in Northwest Indiana, take it.
I would just ask people to stay in touch, whatever their beliefs, whatever their reaction to the president's positions are, or congressional actions, because we are literally in the first month of a 2-year Congress. So this is going to be a continuing story. A bit later this morning, and that's why we're tight on time, we'll be testifying before the International Trade Commission on behalf of the domestic steel companies because of the dumping case relative to China.
We didn't even get to that. Next time you call, we got to talk about trade and what it's going to do for our local steel. Thank you so much, Congressman.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Talk to you. There it is. Be right back.
Need a ride? Call Dial-A-Ride, 932-2530, then hit number 4 on your telephone. Dial-A-Ride is free public transportation for North Township residents, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee. Rides available weekdays 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Dispatch call center open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Accessible vehicles available. To schedule a ride, call 932-2530, then press number 4. Dial-A-Ride service and this message, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee.
This is Pete Corellis with Corellis Roofing. Over the past months, you've heard on WJOB some of the names of the top roofing and sheet metal craftsmen our industry has to offer. Because of these dedicated craftsmen and many others at Corellis Roofing, we have been fortunate to have had the opportunity to continue to grow our business. We are currently looking for roofing installers at all experience levels. If you are interested in a career, not just a job, if you're interested in medical benefits, not just for you, but for your entire family, if you're interested in an excellent retirement plan, then Corellis Roofing could be the company for you. All applicants must pass a pre-employment drug test and random drug testing throughout their employment. If you are interested in becoming a member of our team, please apply online at Corellis.com or in person at 1333 169th Street in Hammond. Thank you.
Loyalty, hard work, self-reliance, genuineness, and gratitude. These values make us who we are. They're here in Indiana, and they're here in Indiana's grocery store, Strachan Van Til. We're proud to serve the people who have put us at the heart of their neighborhoods. We're dedicated to the Indiana values we share and to providing an experience that will make you dedicated to us. Strachan Van Til is Indiana's grocery store, and we're Indiana made.
Bootleg Liquors has the very best selection of beer, wine, and hard alcohol at the lowest prices around the region. Bootleg Liquors now has a new location to better serve you, and that's at 1955 45th Street in Griffith. That's along with their original location, of course, that's at 803 Ridge Road in Griffith. Our service and prices can't be beat, so stock up now at Bootleg Liquors.
This is Alan from the Orange Whips, and you're listening to WJOB AM 1230 and FM 104.7 in Hammond, Indiana.
Hey everybody, Jim Delo of Jed in the Region, the morning show here on WJOB. And in an effort to give local athletes the coverage they deserve, if you go to a game, how about sending us the results? It's simple. After the game, pick up your phone, hit record, tell the score and who won and who had a good game, and then email it to me at jed@WJOB 1230 seconds, and you don't swear. We'll play it on the morning show. Remember, email it to jed@WJOB 1230.com.
Hey guys, what's going on? 658 in the Calumet region. You want to watch that interview with Pete Visclosky again? All you got to do is go to facebook.com/WJOB.1230. Let's take a look at what's going on in traffic right now. If you have any traffic, email or text that to me at 219-845-1100. And I'll tell you what, a lot of you guys are hitting us up on Facebook on messaging, and so I'm trying to keep that up because I see after the show that these Facebook messages have come out. You can also hit me up at WJOB 1230 on Facebook. And what we have in terms of traffic right now is pretty light traffic on 294 around the city. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford's a problem. Watch the Bishop Ford today. It starts right around the Steel Bridge, and then it's all the way up through the Merch, stop and go. That's a little bit longer ride to work. Keep it locked here to WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM. I'm going to take FM off the air for a little while later today, as Rob Alice and I are going to try to rewire a couple of things. So FM might be on and off throughout the day, but AM should continue. Skyway Toll Road, Barman I-65, US 30 and Klein Avenue are all moving along well. Thanks a lot to Napleton River Oaks Honda for supporting that traffic. Let's take a look at weather brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of course, which I am a proud alum of that fine union. And it is 37 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. Remember, tomorrow is senior day, 55 and over, I believe it is. And that means that you will get 10% off. And Gino Svarusas and I are going to go over there tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to do my shopping. He's going to do his. And it'll be my first time as a senior getting the 10% discount.
You know what? I don't think, is it only on a certain day you get the discount then?
I think so, right? Is that, I'm going to find out. First Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, first Wednesday of the month, 10%. Is it 10% or 5%? I don't know. Look it up, will you, on their website? I don't want to be promoting something that, but I was under the impression, I think Gino told me 10%, and he's been reminding of this of me ever since I turned 54, and he's been hitting me every other few days saying, hey, Jed, you got the senior discount coming, and so I'm getting it tomorrow, and you can too. First Wednesday of the month tomorrow. High of 37, or it's 37 right now in Highland, Hamady, Chicago, Cherville, Whiting, and in Crown Point. Actually, in Whiting, it's 40 degrees. It's a little bit warmer along the lake. Crown Point, it's 37. Valparaiso, 37 also. Mostly cloudy and windy. A little morning rain followed by a couple of flurries this afternoon. Taking a look at what the markets did, they took a little bit of a squat yesterday as they were down $1.40 on the Dow, up down another 50 this morning. And oil still hanging up there to 52.5. Verley Suggs, your impression on Congressman Pete Visclosky, what he just had to say?
Well, I guess he said what I would expect him to say. Nothing outside of the norm of what I would expect from a Democratic congressman serving a population that consists of the majority of minorities that are in this Northwest Indiana area. So he said what he should have said. He
used the word appalled, I think, 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's appalled by what Donald Trump is doing. But he also was very realistic that he didn't think there was much legislative chance to do anything to combat what Donald Trump is doing.
Well, he talked about how important the midterm elections are. And right now, of course, in the Senate and in Congress, in the House of Representatives, they are the minority. And so there's not much they can do. They can filibuster, sort of like Ted Cruz did, and they can voice their opinions. But when it comes down to the vote, their vote is really null and void.
219-845-1100, 702 in the Calumet region. You're listening to AM 1230, 104.7. WJOB, and also online at the TuneIn app. And then, of course, you're watching on Facebook. Many of you are doing that also. Let's go to the phone line. Sorry.
Well, I got to ask you this real quick because, you've been in radio a long time, so have I. How do you feel concerning how radio has evolved? Because back in the day when we started, you didn't have the computer. You didn't have to look at Twitter, Facebook, messages, text messages. All you did was basically work aboard, answer phone calls, and respond. Now you're like multitasking, like an octopus would have to do with 8 arms, reaching out for different things.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
do I.
I can't tell you enough. All right, let's go to Arturo. Arturo, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? Thanks for waiting through Visclosky there. What's happening?
Yeah, I was being patient, waiting through Congressman Visclosky, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that he said. I noticed the way. And I'm not trying to be picking on nobody, but I noticed the way Democrats use their language. You notice Pete Visclosky said, ban from Muslim countries. it is not a ban from Muslim countries. It's a ban from 7 countries that have been known to have terrorist organizations. If he was going to do a Muslim ban, wouldn't you think he'd just ban Muslims entirely from all countries, including Mexico and Canada and so on and so forth? I mean, it's a ban from countries that are very dangerous and very unstable right now. And people like you and I have to stop kidding ourselves and just come to the realization of the obvious. The obvious is a lot of terrorist organizations are coming from these 7 countries, these 7 specific countries that Donald Trump picked out because of those reasons. It has nothing to do with the Muslim religion. They just happen to be Muslim, the terrorists. They just happen to be that religion. It has nothing to do with the religion. It has to do with those countries that are very unstable and very dangerous right now at this point, in this era.
All right, Arturo, let's do something, okay?
Okay.
You listen to the show on a regular basis, and one of the things we try to do is we try to be genuine about what's really happening. We don't really care who it pisses off, okay? Now,
Yes,
I got to tell you that to say that it has nothing to do with the Muslim religion, I got to really ask you on this one. Is that really genuine? In your heart of hearts, lay it out for us. Does it have anything to do with that these 7 countries that there are Muslims living there?
No, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. And I'll tell you why, because there's already Muslims here who are American and who obey the law and follow the law. And we have no problem with them at all because they are wholehearted American and they have assimilated to this country and they have respected the laws of this country. That's why I feel it's not about the religion of Islam.
Well, a lot of people obviously feel differently. Verley, how do you take this?
Well, first of all, I think the terrorists that came during 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia. And that's not on the ban. So to say it's not a ban on Muslim nations, they are predominantly Muslim nations that are being banned. When you come through to this country, there's nothing on your passport, nothing on your visa, nothing on your customs form that has what is your religion. But there is a question that is, what is your nationality? And so you consider these countries to be Muslim countries, just like you would maybe consider this country to be a Christian country based on Christian values. But there's a lot of Jews who live here. There's a lot of Muslims who live here. So I would say that when you talk about this president who has named these as extreme, he has used that term to describe the terrorists as Muslim terrorists, right? That was something he faulted President Obama for never adding that Muslim to it.
No, he never.
Go ahead, Arturo. What are you gonna say?
No, he never complained about President Obama not using the word Muslim terrorist.
Yes, he did.
Complained about President Obama not using the word extreme Islamic terrorism.
What's the difference?
The difference is
Islam is the religion.
Is ISIS, the first letter in the acronym ISIS stands for Islamic.
What is the difference between Islamic and Muslim?
Islamic is within the Islamic State, which is a terrorist organization. It is a known terrorist organization.
What is the study of Islam?
What is it? I don't know what the study of Islam is.
It's a study of a religion.
I'm not Muslim, so I cannot.
Well, that's obvious. They are one and the same.
I cannot speak for the Muslim religion because I am not a Muslim. All I know is the Muslims who are here, and they have assimilated to the United States. They respect the United States laws, and they are wholehearted Americans. They are here, and they are walking here, and they are here to stay, and they have every right that everybody else has.
So what about those whose families live in those countries who want to come over here and visit them?
Well,
that have been banned.
I don't know because the ban just happened, yesterday? So unless they made plans from 24 hours ago to now, I guess they have a problem. But what I'm saying is...
The ban actually happened on Friday.
Okay, well then, since 3 days ago then, or 4 days ago, however many you want to count. But Donald Trump, when he ran as in campaign, he said America first. Now I ask you, what is wrong with America first?
There's nothing
All
wrong
right,
with
leave
America
it there.
first.
Thank you.
And just so you know, Islam is a study of the religion. It is the religion Islam. People who are members of that religion are usually Muslims. Okay?
Verley, Islam is a seditious death cult. I tried to tell you that before.
It is not a seditious death cult. You know, that just shows how low the knowledge level is in regard to things that are different from what you are. We just don't bother to study and to learn and to read. We just are so content in our little isolationist society, and we don't understand.
Islam is a religion of peace. Somebody else texted.
Exactly. There are extremists. Just like if a person goes out into a movie theater and murders a bunch of people, and he happens to be a Christian or a Jew, does that mean that the entire religion should be condemned?
Another text comes in. Saudi Arabia, Egypt were not on the list because Donald Trump has interests. Follow the money. End military invasions and occupations. Welcome immigrants. That's another Bob. Text that in. MSN News poll. Do you agree with President Trump's recent actions concerning immigration and refugees? 53% say yes. 40% say no. Death to infidels. Does that mean anything to you folks? That's another text. Verley was sleeping fine during 9/11. She sounds like Trump. Another text coming in. Let's see. I wish that Verley would be quiet. I'm educated and like what the president is doing. Finally, a president with a set of, it rhymes with halls. Let's take some phone calls. 219-845-1100. I think Lou has been waiting the longest on Carpenter's $5.99 phone line. Hey, Lou, how are you?
I got nothing going on today, Jim. So, yeah, hey, you guys are missing the big picture here, man. Trump just signs this stuff and shows his signature to camera. You guys don't talk about Steve Bannon. This guy, he's the guy who writes it. Do some research on this guy, man, and some of his quotes throughout the years. And I looked up a quote, not from him, but I wanted to read it to you and see what you guys think. It is impossible to found a civilization on fear and hatred and cruelty. It would never endure. It would have no vitality. It would disintegrate. It would commit suicide. You know what that's from?
What's it from?
1984 by George Orwell. It's a best-selling book now. It was written in the 1950s.
Many years ago, yes. Wow. I mean, you're so right. And when you talk about Bannon and his ties to white supremacists, and they just had a big thing about the Holocaust where they didn't even mention Jews. So it just shows you what's going on.
Trump he's just like he's a puppet for Putin. He's a puppet for Bannon. And, hey, it's out there. You discuss that one. Have your racist people call up and talk about that.
All right, thanks, Lou. Another text coming in. Way to go, Verley. If someone doesn't agree with you and they're stupid, typical liberal response to my experiences in the Middle East while in the military make me smarter than you.
Say that again.
I don't know. Typical liberal response to my that you say that if people don't agree with you that they're stupid.
I didn't say that because people don't agree with me that they're stupid. Basically, I said what Trump likes. He likes the poorly educated. I don't even recall if I said stupid or not. But the point is, just from what the conversation I'm hearing from people, it just shows how misinformed they are.
219-845-1100. Let's go to Nelson on line 4. Nelson, how are you?
Good. How are you?
What's going on?
I just wanted to say that I lived in Saudi Arabia for a year, and I know it's not one of the countries on the list, but I got to see the negatives and positives of Islam firsthand. Okay, so the positive. They love their family. They take care of their kids, grandparents, great-grandparents. They all live close together. They eat together. And, I mean, you see a love for family that you don't see in America anymore many times. A love for their religion and a respect for their God. Here in the United States, Christians might go to church 3 times a year, maybe, a few holidays. And for Muslims, it is a dedication. It is a life commitment to their God and to their prophet. And, I mean, I saw that firsthand. Now the negatives, for me, the Sharia law. Very scary. What the Quran, I mean, it's not a law made by man. Sharia law is provided by the Quran itself. And Muslims live by this Quran. Meaning, you cannot take the gospel to Saudi Arabia. Meaning, women cannot drive. Meaning, women can only be educated up to a certain level. Meaning, homosexuals die. And these are not radical Muslims that believe this. This is what the Quran says. Now, the Bible says some crazy things too. So I'm not just bashing them. They had executions every Friday when I was there in City Center, which was the center of the city. And you can go see an execution if you wanted to. I didn't go. Some of the guys I was with went, and they really got sick. It's something they had never seen before. But that is an extreme of what Sharia law is, and the Quran provides for that. So we need to understand that Islam can be a peaceful religion, but the Sharia law provides for very violent areas, and those violent areas control population. And
How do you feel? How do you feel about what Donald Trump is doing right now?
Well, for me, I'm a Christian, so if you're going to mess with Muslims, oh well. What scares me is that today it's Muslims, tomorrow it's Christians.
What do you mean by that?
Another president comes in, executive law, no more Christianity, churches can't function, and the precedent is already set.
So do you agree with what he's doing or not?
I don't agree what he's doing because it scares me as a Christian.
Wow, I haven't heard that yet.
And one thing, Nelson, you brought up the Sharia, the opposing thing, the opposition in the Islamic religion, but you can see that same thing in Judaism. You have the Hasidic Jews, you have the Orthodox Jews, you have different practices. Some people live totally by what's in the Old Testament. So as far as the executions, we had public executions in this country. We had public executions in Europe. I'm not condoning it. I don't like executions at all. If you in the Islamic countries, if you stole, you got your hand chopped off. Did it deter stealing? Well, I mean, a lot of hands got chopped off. So apparently not. Just like the death penalty in this country does not deter murderers because people are still committing murders.
All right, hey.
So we have our extremes, yes.
All right, last comment, Nelson.
Real quick, we have our extremes, but the Quran explicitly provides for that, and most Muslims will abide by the Quran word for word. And that's my last comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go to Donald on line 5. Let's go to let's go to Donald. Is Donald next? Donald next? All right. Who is that?
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
You're on the air. I'm sorry. I'm turned around here. What's your name?
Hey, this is Deb. That's okay, Jed. You've been running in them streets there yelling big truck, huh? You got turned around, huh?
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm sorry I'm on the speakerphone.
Oh, that's all right. What's going on?
I guess it was mentioned that, other religions, we have executions and whatnot, but, if you're not Muslim enough, they cut your head off. In Christianity, if you're not Christian enough, they don't cut your head off. Buddhists don't cut your head off. Jews don't cut your head off. And I'm very happy with what Donald Trump is doing.
Let me ask you a question. You said that if you're not Christian enough, you don't cut your head off, but...
No. Your head is not cut off by people in the religion. Like the man just said, they have executions over there. Some is for stealing or what have you, but a lot of it is because they are not Muslim enough.
They're not practicing the Sharia laws and they're going against the laws. Yes, I don't condone that. But we do execute here. We do lethal ejections. We do electric chairs.
We do a lethal injection because someone is not Christian enough.
But we do it for crimes, and that's what they consider to be a crime. I'm not condoning it, but if their laws are what they practice, it's just like in India, they have certain laws, or in Pakistan, they have certain laws. I'm not condoning it, but that's their way of life.
All right, see you later, Deb. Let's go to Jim on line 6. Jim, how are you?
Okay, how are you guys doing?
What's up?
I guess first off, a comment for Verley was when that lady, two people before Representative Wiskowski called, The lady called up and she was all for the travel ban. And then Verla, you came on and started talking about, Trump's comment about him liking low-educated people and stuff. Just some criticism there. It's almost like you said that lady was low-educated.
No, what I said was...
No, wait.
Okay, go ahead.
The way you said it afterwards, you kind of insinuated that about her. At least that's the way I read into what you said.
Okay.
And it's just a comment. Sometimes when you say stuff, you definitely... You're giving a little jab at people, and I just wanted to make that comment.
Well, you know what? And let me say this, because sometimes I am giving a jab at people. And if the lady was equating illegal immigration with this ban, those are two separate things. And that's where people are so misinformed. This ban is not about illegal immigration. These people are not coming across the border illegally. They were coming across with visas. They were coming across after being vetted. Some of these people were refugees. So yes, I might have been making that jab because yes, they were two separate different things. They're two separate issues. And that's what people fail to understand.
Jim, what do you say?
They are two separate issues. And I guess one of the questions I haven't researched this enough. Does the ban from those countries, and they're majority Muslim countries, I assume it includes Christians coming from those countries also. It includes anybody from those countries. It includes
everybody.
If they're a Yazidi or whatever the one religion is in Iraq, whether they're a Kurd, whatever. So it's majority Muslim countries, so you could say it's against Muslims, but it's against everybody from those countries.
Hey, Jim, let me ask you. I got a question for you. And I actually brought this up with Verley, and I think maybe we're on the same vein. I think it's dangerous when you group people as being low educated, and that is why they have a certain opinion. And I brought that up with Verley after that woman called. Your comments on that? Low levels of education and how that fits into this.
I think that it's somewhat. We do group people that way. I think that there are people, you can say that there are people who have various viewpoints because they're not well-read, they don't pick up a newspaper, they only listen to one source of, let's say, news if they do, whether it be, right-wing talk radio or the very small amount of probably liberal talk radio that's out there. I think we do group that. I think that's human nature to do that.
Do you think that's dangerous?
I think it's extremely dangerous because that's how totalitarian regimes come into power by utilizing that low education level and by people who are educated not standing up.
Exactly. Exactly. You are so right because that's why President Trump is in office right now for the very things that you just said. And that's my point. He said that comment. That came out of his mouth.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Jim. I got to move on, buddy. Let's go to Boo on line 4. Boo, how are you?
Woo, man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Good morning,
Good morning, Boo.
And what's the other guy's name?
Jim.
My name's Jim.
He's the host.
Jim.
I'm the guest.
Oh, okay. I got a brother named Jim.
All right.
I call him Shoes, though. Jim Shoes.
All right. The rest of the show, everyone call me Shoes, and we'll be good. What do you think about what's going on there, Boo?
Hey, well, you know what I think? First of all, I don't agree with what Donald Trump is doing. It's the way he's doing it. I believe in screening, but the way he's doing it, that's ludicrous what he's doing. And like I said, that's Donald that won't duck, and Mickey won't open up his mouth. But you know what? I think Mike Pence had a lot of sense to be vice president because he's going to be president eventually if Donald Trump doesn't watch putting his foot in his mouth. Now, as far as the Muslims are concerned, there's some good Muslims over here. There are some bad Muslims. There are some good Christians, some bad Christians. Don't get me wrong. There's good and bad in everything. Doctors, lawyers, we've got to wean them out just like wheat and tares. Now, as far as the poor is concerned, God doesn't look at the poor because God can use anyone. And sometimes God uses people like that to astound some of those so-called, quote-unquote, intelligent people. So I don't agree with that also.
What do you think? Boo, let me ask you this. all this stuff that's going on right now, what do you think happens? Where do you think we are in 3 to 6 months?
Well, I know we're in Revelations right now, and it's speeding up time.
What do you mean by that?
Whoa.
Well, we're living in the last days. And you know what's going to stop this? See, it's a lot of power. Just like back in the 60s, we tried our best to revolutionize our country and then maybe spread abroad to other countries. But that was, we know what happened in the assassination in the 60s. Okay, so that rampant. So what's going to happen now? A lot of people scatter because when you cut the leader off, the flock scatters. Okay, the flock is getting stronger and wiser now. Their eyes are opening up. So what's going to happen? It's going to be a clash between the less of evil and God. And it's going to take God's almighty power to come in. I mean, this is it. Because we can't fight the evil man with guns. We can't fight it with prayers. We can fight it with prayers, but God is going to answer the prayers. So it's going to put us in a corner where we're going to have to call on God.
You really believe we're in our final days?
I know we are.
Didn't they move up the doomsday clock?
Yeah, for 30,
After
30
Trump
more
got,
seconds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way, Boo?
Because every thinking thing causes the other to change. If God's telling all the people that have breath to praise to God, and we're not doing it, it changes the others just like the atmosphere. You're not seeing the sun for the last 8 days, and it's showing a little bit yesterday. Now it's back gloom and doom again because the people are not feeling the vibe. And what's inside of you going to go out. It's like a gas that goes up in the atmosphere, and it causes the others to change. That's what the weather's like it is. Normally, we'd be having some snow and all this, but because of Donald Trump's in the office, hey, it is what it is.
Thank you, Boo.
Thank you, Boo.
I can't talk to you too long because you make me wait so long, and I'm on this government phone, and you all burn all my minutes. I can't talk to nobody else.
You know what? I tell Jim about making people wait online with their phone minutes.
Hey,
Sorry, Boo.
Hey, Boo.
It makes me talk real fast. But you all have a great day, and I'm enjoying the conversation.
Thank you, Boo.
Thanks a lot, Boo. Hey, we'll be right
See,
back.
Jim, you can't be letting people wait so long when they have unlimited. They don't have unlimited minutes like you and me.
There's 6 people online. He was next. We just went in order. Hey, Manny, Al, and Manny's next, then Al, and then the rest of you guys. Be right back.
Laborers Local 41 proudly represents the hardworking, highly skilled, and expertly trained men and women who work to maintain our local streets and highways, protect and remediate our environment, and build and renovate our schools. Laborers Local 41, investing today for a better Indiana tomorrow.
Park Place of St. John is a new senior living campus by Providence Life Services in St. John, Indiana, offering rehab services, skilled nursing, memory care, and retirement living, all at a predictable monthly rate with no buy-in or entrance fee. At Park Place, community comes first no matter what level of service you need. Park Place of St. John. Call 219-525-4658 to arrange a tour today or start your research at parkplacestjohn.com. Park Place, where health and community matters.
Hi, I'm Barbara Muckle, Chapter President of Excel to Fitness, Northwest Indiana. Excel to Fitness is a 6-week program that serves boys 3 through 6th grade after school with speed, strength, agility, balance, and cardio, while embedding character through teamwork, leadership, and goal setting. The 12-session curriculum creates an interactive experience that leads to one big event obstacle course race that they take on with their teammates. Start Excel to Fitness at your school this season. Visit us at exceltofitness.com/Northwest Indiana. That's XCEL2fitness.com/Northwest Indiana.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
For your daily sports schedule,
go to WJOB1230.com.
We are everywhere.
We
Facebook,
are everywhere.
Instagram, Twitter, Jet.tv, YouTube. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey, guys, what's going on? 728 in the Calumet region. Jimmy Mulaney's joined us this morning. Jimmy comes in around 7 on his way to class, and he goes and leaves us about 10, but he takes care of the video right now. You can watch us now at facebook.com/WJOB1230. We got a couple open lines at 219-845-1100. I got a lot of stuff going on. We haven't even hit some of this local stuff. We're going to hit a little bit of the town theater coming up here, but continuing on, we've got stuff that's happening here in America. We got to hit a little morning rain and a high of 40. It's 37 degrees right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It's 39 degrees at East Chicago and 39 in Whiting. And here you go, Ryan, take it. There you go. Just go what you need to do there. High of 34 tomorrow, periods of clouds and sun. And then near the end of the week, it's a high of 26, 25, and 32. So we do have some sun coming. Boo. Don't worry about it. We got some sun. I understand what you're talking about. It was the grayest month ever, January, and it's ending on a gray day. And then February is going to bring in some sunshine. And weather this morning is brought to you by Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. And what do you have in terms of the traffic? 294 around City, you're good up to O'Hare. 80 out to Joliet and back looks good. But I'll tell you where your problem is. Your problem's on the Bishop Ford and the southern end of the Dan Ryan. Bishop Ford is heavy from, say, 130th on in. Basically the Steel Bridge on up, then to about 95th. And then it's just heavy up to Dan Ryan. So it's watch the Bishop Ford. WTBF. And what do you have on Skyway Toll Road, Barman I-65? Those are all moving along pretty darn well. In terms of the markets yesterday, down $1.40 or so. And this morning, we're looking at the markets down about 40. And what do you got going on at 7:30, the bottom of the hour? 219-845-1100. Donald Trump, another directive yesterday. He fired his own attorney general. Not his own. Actually, it was President Obama's attorney general that was still hanging around, or acting attorney general, Sally Yates. He fired her because he didn't like what she had said about enforcing his directives on Muslim-dominated countries. And so they got rid of her, and they put a guy in who evidently agrees a little bit more in line with Donald Trump. That's just the beginning of some of the stuff that's going on. Donald Trump's starting to get some pushback on the Republican side. John McCain, Lindsey Graham, and others yesterday stepping up and putting some deep criticisms against the President of the United States. Protests around the country and around the world, as has been the case for a number of days now. And it's just another gray day in the Calumet region. It's Tuesday, though. That means Verley Suggs is with us.
Jim, what's the process when you come through immigration and you don't have a U.S. passport?
I have no idea.
Everybody who comes through there without a U.S. passport has their picture taken, which goes through photo recognition. Their names are put through. They are fingerprinted. And they've already been vetted before they're allowed to have a visa, unless they're traveling from a country that has a visa waiver program.
Verley, you fly a lot. You're going to a lot of different countries. Are you concerned right now?
I'm concerned for Americans in some of those countries that are banned. I'm very concerned for them because I'm concerned about retaliation, and I'm concerned about people who are there working along our servicemen who feel that, wow, here we are trying. We appreciate you over here helping our countries. I mean, Iraq was not at war before we went over there and destroyed their country and basically killed a lot of families. A lot of children. Far more people have been killed in these wars and that were killed on September 11th, sadly.
219-845-1100. Let's continue on. I want to hear from you guys what you think about what Donald Trump's doing. Anything you want to say? Open phone lines. Let's go to Manny on line 3. Hi, Manny. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Burley.
Good morning, Manny.
Haven't talked to you guys in a while.
It's good to hear from you.
Listen, now, I've stayed silent about my political views since before Anthony Copeland became mayor, and I started producing the Citizens in Action show on public access for the group. But I mean, after listening to these conversations this morning, I got to say something. I never share who I voted for, not even with my daughter. She's been bugging me about it. But I kind of agree with what Boo had said and his views, but I'll touch base on that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, as far as Sally Yates is concerned, the former acting attorney general, if you go back in history, and I'm talking about former white supremacist leaders, I'm not going to mention names or anything, a lot of them had those that opposed them killed, eliminated, from saying anything against them. Our president will fire or ask for resignations. That's what I've noticed, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger said something about him recently, and he is the host of the show that Donald Trump produces.
Right, The
So
Apprentice.
I hope he doesn't. Yeah, I hope he doesn't get fired next. But anyways, moving on. What Boo had said about the last days. Now, first of all, the gospel teaches us to love and not to hate, and to give to the poor. One of the Beatitudes was, "Blessed are the peacemakers." What we call, and this is going back to another caller, what we call part-time Christians, we call them Christers because they come into church on Christmas and on Easter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about what Boo said about this being the final days?
Now, what Boo said, and this is coming straight from the Bible, not from me. This is from the Word of God in 2 Timothy 3:1 all the way to 3:5, I believe. It says, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, have nothing to do with such people." And that's coming straight from the Word of God.
Leave it there. Thanks a lot, Manny.
Thank you, Manny.
219-845-1100. We got a friend in here. What's going on? How are you?
Oh, so I'm not a friend. You got a friend and an enemy in here, huh?
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I take it we're talking about the end of times going on right now, or
We're talking about whatever people want to talk about. You know how that goes. She is
I
Michelle
do.
Quinn. She is a reporter with the Post-Tribune.
Hi, everyone.
And
Hi,
a lot
Michelle.
of stuff going
Hi.
on. I know you were busy last night with the town, but man, just a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, it would be funny if we weren't all going to die here in the next year. It would it'd be really funny.
You know what? You're the third person that's brought that up. Boo just brought that up. Manny brought that up, and now you brought that up. That the level. Alexis and I go to bed every night, and we just kind of talk, and we listen to podcasts every night, and then we go to bed, and it's usually a fairly peaceful thing. But she was getting a little bit edgy with me, and I was getting a little bit snarky with her last night. And then just for like a couple of minutes, and then we both just realized, gosh, we're just really upset right now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it came into our bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm just sharing. It wasn't a big fight or anything, but it just doesn't happen anymore. We don't have kids around.
But that's interesting. It came into your bed. That meant that you might have had opposing views. See, we don't have that problem in my bed.
We do have opposing views sometimes. I accept She says I accept everything. I'm like, you accept everything. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I just, I respect what people have to say, and that gets. I think sometimes
I don't respect what everybody has to say. I'm sorry. That's just me.
Michelle Quinn, do you think
I respect their right to say it, but I might not respect what they're saying.
You think there's so much chaos right now?
Yeah.
That people could actually start thinking these are the end of times?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was covering, because I was out at county when the votes came in and Trump was elected. I remember my first dread was remembering growing up in the 80s and remembering all the doom and the gloom of nuclear war, and that was and I'm like, oh my God, here we are again. And I had a couple friends, you're crazy. You're okay. It's going to be nuclear war again, Well, China is now, according to the Independent this morning, they're moving nuclear weapons closer to the U.S.
They're putting them on the islands?
Yeah, or something.
They're man-made islands?
Yeah, so, and they're saying that war could possibly be a practical reality. We've never been to war with China. Because that's
want to be. We have. I mean, we were in war during World War II and World War I, but
never with them.
I mean, that's kind of how.
Now we got to think about the Chinese too. Oh my God.
219-845-1100.
Yeah.
Why don't you just bring more discord into the conversation?
You know.
Hey, let's take some phone calls. You guys want to talk? 219-845-1100. We're going to take a couple more phone calls, and then we're going to talk about the town theater thing last night. Let's go to Al on line 1. Hi, Al. How are you?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. This end time talk, it's good that a person on an individual level lives like their last day is today. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But as soon as you utter that phrase, you emit a lot of power to frighten people. The most control that people get, and this comes back to Trump's comment about the poorly educated, how he loves them. You heard about the end times, and you get controlled straight from your church's pulpits. That exerts a control over you to some degree. It's fearful. It's very scary.
I agree that.
Right.
You're not wrong
Fox
there.
News. Fox News is another one. There's a constant, in order to control people, constant din of religious fear and hate and anger.
Yes.
And now it's brought to us. It went from the church pulpit to Fox News. Now we're right to this phony Christian Trump, who all of a sudden got good time religion.
That's right.
I always wondered what church he belonged to before he ran for office.
Well,
the Church of Trump.
Yeah.
Well, he's a showman. He loves to put on a show. That's why he has these crazy tweet explosions every day. He likes to put on a show, and he knows that his base loves this. They love the show. People love to talk about end times. They love to be afraid. They love to be fearful of Muslims. They're afraid of black people, brown people, gay people.
Women.
Women
marching in Washington. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you know what? That was the best thing. That was the most fortunate thing that happened to this country in a timely basis, was to see on an impromptu level women and their supporters marching like that. It was just so impressive. I'm sure it frightens a lot of people.
Exactly. Hey, and check out Sunday's paper, because my good friend Ann Herbert is in there in the forum section talking about her experience being in Washington, D.C. marching.
Hey, she's Verly Suggs. Also, Michelle Quinn is here, and you guys can call in at 219-845-1100. I'm going to take one more, and then we're going to talk to Dave from Highland about what happened last night.
Yes.
That thing on Carpenter's Local 599 phone line. Don't forget, today's the last day you can go to Strachan Van Til and get last week's sales. The new ones start tomorrow. I get my first ever senior discount tomorrow. Gino's and I are going first one. What are you laughing about?
Because they're quicker than I am.
Evidently, quite a bit quicker. Hey, let's go. You know what? Let's talk about this. Yesterday, there has been a very controversial thing going on in Highland, Indiana for a while now. And I've been surprised at how much energy within the town. I think outside of the town, people don't really give two patooties here, okay? But inside Highland has really kind of ripped a lot of people out, and there's a lot of hurt feelings after last night's meeting. Yeah. But the idea is the town theater, which many of us all know from many other communities, was closed a number of years ago. And there's been a movement in Highland, a redevelopment commission and the council and private individuals and so forth, to redo the Highland Theater and then make it a theater district. There's been some money spent already. But last night there was a vote that looks like it brought a halt to all of that. Tell us what happened.
The motion was made. They had a second big, I don't want to say rally type of meeting, but last week at the Lincoln Center, they had a big meeting about, what the plan for the town theater is. They did it 2.5 years ago, and basically it was just kind of an update. They had back then they had an initial estimate. Now they had they came to the residents with a plan. These are the costs, etc. It was going to be $8.63 added to your taxes. So they had the
a
finance.
month, a year, a week, or what?
I think it's a year.
Okay,
because
so
it was
$8
property
a year.
taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd have to go back. I just wrote this last night. I'm a little tired. So anyway, but so they came to this presentation. Once again, there were people passionately for and against. Last night, they voted at the or not voted, but they decided at the study session last week that they were going to go ahead and put it on the agenda. They were going to vote
at the town council meeting.
Yeah, at the town council meeting, and sure enough, they did. The motion that Councilman Mark Herrick made, though, it was to deny, or to stop funding, stop any kind of, sort of money toward the theater project, except for saving the marquee and the box office.
Back us up here. The bids came out last week.
Yeah, but they hadn't. Well, yes, they did come out, and they were all around the $3 million mark.
Yeah, they were like 2.8.
Yeah.
And then I think there was an outlier up around $6 million.
Right, which
2.8 to low threes. And Hassey was in there. Gary Up was in there. I forget who was low.
Pangier was in there as well.
Pangier, I believe, was the one they were going to go with.
Right, they were the lowest one.
And so I think the original estimate was 2.3 to 2.5, and they were coming out in the 2.9 area.
Right.
Okay. So it was a little bit above, 20% maybe above
right.
what they thought it was going to come in at. And since that happened, I mean, all of a sudden this is on a ballot to go forward or not go forward. It seems kind of quick.
I think the impression that I got was that they just kind of wanted to get it done. That, they've been lingering with this for 2.5 years, and it's been going on. And, I think initially when they got the bids back in, 2014, it seemed feasible. But then when they started going into the theater, they started seeing
there was problems with the beams and so forth.
Yeah, that it was much worse, and so the price went up. And I do remember, back then that the attitude, from some of the council, look, we like this now. This is a reasonable thing, but if it gets to be too much more expensive, we can't do that.
All right, so let's look at this. So last night, Zeman votes for continuing on with the Highland Theater, and
Zeman
Dan Vassar of the Highland Town Council. And then the three that voted against it are Mark Herrick, Connie Kuiper, and Steve Wagner.
Yeah.
Now, it's 3-2 against this thing. Who was the person that kind of went from being for it to being against it? Was there anybody that was like the person that was the swing vote on this? Let's ask that to Dave from Highland.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in. Dave, what is your take on this? How did this get defeated last night? Who on that council went a different direction?
It was heartfelt. I had the pleasure of being there with Miss Quinn and
hi, Dave.
The speech that hi, Michelle. The speech that Bernie Zeman had was heartfelt.
It was that was pretty good.
Let me tell you, if you really paid attention to Dan Vassar, who I think the absolute world of him and his family, talk about a family that has really dedicated their lives to Highland, and that's the Vassar family.
Yep.
Can't say enough about how Dan just so eloquently made his point. But to cut to the chase, my personal feelings, there was 3 individuals that took the emotional aspect out of it and was thinking just dollars and cents. Mark Herrick, Steve Wagner, and Connie Kuiper. I happen to feel that it was an extremely difficult decision for Connie Kuiper, and he was the swing vote.
Yeah, I was just about to say I think it was Connie.
Was it based on their Was it based on their constituents, or was it just dollars and cents?
All 5 of them have been absolutely deluged by emails and letters from both sides.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, initially they said it was kind of a 65-35 for, but I think if you add the tape up, it was really close to 50-50. I mean, I like what Steve had to say. Steve says he really wants it, and these gentlemen, I mean, they were agonizing up there. This has been going on for years. And Jed, also to answer your question, a decision had to be made. You said this happened kind of fast. A line was drawn in the sand that the redevelopment just didn't have the money. So we're at the point that now we have to ask the town for money. So there's your demarcation line. They were done, and they could not move forward till they got the approval from the council. to float that bond.
If
you know,
you're just
it's
hold on a
$8
second, hold on a second. If you're just joining us last night in Highland, especially if you're a Highland resident or are into entertainment, Highland Theater was voted down by the council to continue funding that. It looks like it, for all intents and purposes, might be dead. Now, David, let's take another tack on this. Very rarely does an issue get anybody that excited in Highland, and it seems that for a couple of years now, this has been a very divisive issue. What are you reading on the streets of Highland?
Well, a lot of disappointment from most of my friends were for it. So there's a lot of disappointment there because of the novelty of it. Now, most of my friends that were opposed, a lot of my friends that were opposed to it, there's two things they wanted. They were actually willing to spend more money. A lot of my friends, they were contractors, they're tradesmen, and they're like, you know what? When you start opening a can of worms with an old building,
right?
This $3.2 million project was going to turn into $5 million. My friend said, I can afford $8.50 or $8.62 a year, but I also can afford $16.50 a year. Why don't we just tear the whole block down, which is my proposal, and start from scratch with a brand new building, save that marquee and that ticket booth, and let's, if we're going to do it, let's do it right, not half-a it, and get into a can of worms of a building that was built in 1947, and we really don't know what those footings are all about.
Right.
All right, let's do this. Michelle, a Munster gal growing up, and Dave, you're a Hessville guy growing up.
Yes.
I mean, this part of Highland, the Kennedy and Highway, is the heart of Highland, and there's a lot of businesses, a lot of my advertisers. Vito's is putting a lot of money down there in downtown Highland, and there was hope that this theater district would evolve. You'd get more restaurants, you'd get more business. What does this do in your mind for downtown Highland? What do you say, Michelle?
Well, they've got to come up with a new idea to bring businesses. So, okay, what do? Are you going to bring a microbrewery? Well, Griffith has 3 of those. I mean, the area is saturated with microbreweries. Can we have another one? I don't know. Do you bring a restaurant? Well, you've got, Rodney's and now Growlers. Or do you bring another sports bar? Well, they just almost lost an officer, to someone who was coming home from the bars. So, I don't know what there is to put there.
What do you want to do there, David? What's the future there?
We do need an arts and entertainment area.
Yeah.
I think it would be an awesome novelty. You look at what Whiting has done. You look at right now the Arts and Entertainment District in Valparaiso. I don't want to get left behind in Highland. I don't want another bar. But what I would love to see is anything close to, since I'm a fiscal hawk and I'm a tightwad, for lack of a better word, I'd love to see something, that could possibly come in deficit neutral. I don't care if we broke even, but we definitely need a public-private partnership. And I would like to see something absolutely brand new and you're right. It's a historic building. It's a historic facade. And Highland is one of those rare communities like Whiting and like Lansing that has just a quaint, four corner down there hometown feel. We do need it. I do want it, but I think, and unfortunately, Michelle, I saw your post. There was never a plan B.
Right.
There was always a plan A. So what we need to do, I think, we need to just reinvent a plan A, but we also need to step back. And you could. I just think the world of the council and the redevelopment commission and the theater group, super intelligent people on the theater group.
Yeah.
They just, I think they just needed some help.
Right. Hey,
and
David,
maybe it
thank
wasn't
you.
sold the right way.
Dave, thanks a lot. Talk
See
to
you,
you.
Dave.
Carpenter's $5.99 phone line. We're talking about Highland voting down the town theater last night. Looks like it's dead for now.
Yeah, I did have a point back in the in the early days, or not the early days, but the presentation years ago, 2.5 years ago. They did propose, one of the things on the table was tearing it down and making a new building. At the time, making the new building was more expensive than rehabbing the old one, and that's why they went with the rehab. I remember that, and well, then it turns out that, they
it looks like they're getting nothing. And you know what?
Yeah.
You guys both brought up a good point. I mean, if you look around the Calumet region, you got a number of areas that have invested in what they're doing in their downtown
Right.
area. Whiting is a very good example.
Oh, Whiting's amazing. Yeah.
Mayor McDermott has tried to do it in downtown Hammond, which
Sure.
I've disagreed with him from the beginning. I think it should be right here along Indianapolis Boulevard where the investment is. But they've
Right.
done some stuff to put Haas down there. You got the federal courthouse, and you have some, lawyers and so forth. You look at what's going on in Griffith. You brought that up. They did a great
Yeah, they
job
did.
turning around that downtown. But of all these towns that have downtowns, really, if you think about it, other than maybe Crown Point, no one, and maybe Gary, no one has as good a downtown area as Highland. I mean, you have the cross streets there. You have the different areas where you can park and you can walk in that area. And if you look at this, I don't know about this project. I don't know the positives and negatives all add up to, but they're missing an opportunity because there goes Whiting, there goes Griffith, there goes Crown Point.
I'd say Whiting has the best. I mean, Valpo has the best. Then Whiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Valpo, you know what? I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, you're right. In terms of Whiting has the best one. Okay. And then it's Highland. I do not like Valpo's downtown as much. I think that it's, to me, I don't know. I just don't.
And you've seen the skating ring.
I've
and
seen it
the
all,
Pavilion.
and,
I just think that all the restaurants, walking at nighttime, you don't see a whole lot of people in Whiting walking at nighttime. In Valpo, you see people walking at nighttime, going to the restaurants, walking down the streets. You have the university there. I just say,
You know what?
I think
You've
Valpo
got a
has the
point.
best.
But in terms of Highland, can they become a Valpo?
I don't think they can. No. They don't have the university. They don't have the huge draw. I think that's part of why Valpo's downtown is one of the best. I think they can be more like a Whiting.
Yeah.
And this is a big setback for that happening. Look at the contrast right now. You got Whiting that's building as we speak in
Mascots coming.
the Mascot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And they put all that money into it. Highland's basically voting against that, and I don't want to get left behind. There is a real danger of Highland being left behind at this point.
Yeah.
You have to have vision, and you have to be progressive, and it's going to cost a few dollars, but what in the long term, what is the outcome going to be?
And there was also an incredible amount of misinformation out there about what was spent. It was not $800,000. It was $269,000 that the town put toward the project.
Was that in acquiring the property and doing the studies?
The studies, the property, as I understand it, and I remember when I saw this $800,000 figure, I was like, where did this come from? The properties were going to be bought up by the town regardless of whether it was the theater or not. So, if somehow those got factored into the, total cost, well, now those buildings are going to be gone anyway for whatever.
Now they're looking at just knocking it all down. Save the marquee, put it in a storage facility somewhere. Hey, she's Verly Suggs. She's Michelle Quinn. And we will be right back after this from Nicole and Westland and Bennett.
If you've been arrested or convicted of a crime in the state of Indiana, listen up. You need legal counsel. Doesn't it make sense to call an attorney who not only knows the law, but who knows the system? I'm Nicole Bennett, a former deputy Lake County prosecutor. I do know the system and how to help you with your criminal case. From traffic tickets to cleaning up your driving record to obtaining specialized driving privileges under the new 2015 Indiana law and misdemeanor and felony charges. And as many of you have experienced, I can even have your criminal record erased. Call me at Westland and Bennett in Cherville, 219-440-7550. Again, 219-440-7550.
Mark your calendars. Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr. brings back the second annual 219 Day back in Rad to the Hammond Civic Center on Saturday, February 18th from 6 till midnight. Enjoy free admission, food vendors, and craft beers from several region breweries and entertainment by Dick Diamond and the Dusters. New for 2017, Ride the Rat Mechanical Bull, Arm Wrestling Tournament, DJ, and Jammed a Bonfire, a tribute to AC/DC. We will also have new shirts available there, or you can order online. Visit our website, 219day.com. Come out and celebrate the region at 219 Days, Saturday, February 18th.
Since 1983, Tom and Ed's Auto Body has been family owned and operated, serving Northwest Indiana. Tom and Ed's Auto Body provides its community with the highest quality collision repair. We know stress comes with accidents. Let us be your first call. We are experts in assisting you with filing and managing your insurance claims. See our website, tomandeds.com, for more information on our 6 convenient locations. Tom and Ed's Auto Body, getting more than just your vehicle back on the road.
Attention hip, healthy Indiana plan members. Vito's Pharmacy is your preferred in-network pharmacy. CVS Caremark is no longer accepting hip starting December 15th. Vito's Pharmacy has you covered. Stop in or call about our $50 transfer coupon. We are proud to accept hip. Ready to transfer? Visit us online at vitospharmacy.com to see all our services. Give us a call, 219-228-7200, or stop into one of our 4 convenient locations in Hammond and Highland.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 7:59 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Deedlow. She is Verly Suggs. It must be Tuesday. It must be Verly. Also, Michelle Quinn is here from the Post-Tribune. And we're going to continue on with some of the stuff that's going on here, more on a national basis. If you agree with what Donald Trump is doing or what he is not doing, give us a call at 219-845-1100. Let's take a look at traffic. Brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana. And the traffic at this later hour in the rush hour is pretty much as it has been all morning long. Right now on 294, though, you have a little bit of an added traffic as it's bad going into 55 and then for a few miles, so allow some extra time up through the UPS area there. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, they have, of course, right at the merge, it's been bad all morning. Now you got an accident at 159th that just happened. Let's see what that does. So right now it's watch to Bishop Ford, and we'll keep an eye on it. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65. Hey, those are all moving along pretty darn well. Taking a look at weather brought to you by Certified Electrician. Hey, all you got to do is go to certifiedelectrician.com if you need electrical work done. Hey, mostly cloudy, windy, a little morning rain followed by a couple of flurries this afternoon. Right now the winds are out of the west at 18 to 37 miles an hour. It's a windy one. And the 37 here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. Tomorrow I have 39 in Whiting. And right now it's 39 in Whiting, 37 in Cherville, 39 in EC, and 37 in Corn Point. Right now the markets going into the 8:30 open are down 40. Yesterday, unprecedented, Donald Trump fired the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General. Of course, we have plenty of people that are getting denied coming to this country right now from 7 Muslim-dominated countries. I hope they get the imam from the local mosque here tomorrow. And they had a rally yesterday at Munster Town Hall in support of the Highland Mosque. In the meantime, the president fires the acting Attorney General and puts somebody in there that he is much more comfortable with. And just plenty of chaos going on at the executive level in America here. And you know what we do? We make sense of it. Speaking of sense, MX is on line 1 with Michelle Quinn. Michelle, say hi to MX, please. Hi, MX. What's going on?
Good morning, Jed. Good morning, Verly.
Good morning, MX.
Michelle. I support Trump 110%. I want to ask Michelle a question. It's a nice question. Michelle, have you taken in any refugees? Verly, have you? Okay.
I haven't taken any. Hold on. I have not taken in any refugees. That is not to say that I would not. Okay.
Okay. You remind me a lot of a Muslim because you cut and run. You left East Chicago because you said it's unsafe, and you run to Crown Point.
Muslim. I actually live in Maryville right now, and I'm in East Chicago all the time. In fact, I host the City of East Chicago show. Still have a great relationship with everybody in East Chicago. Got married to a man who lives in Maryville in a home that he built 18 years ago. So, yes, I live in Maryville right now. Go ahead.
Well, move back to East Chicago or Gary.
My husband lives in Maryville, and that's where I live with my husband. Now, if I get a divorce, which I don't think is going to happen, then maybe I will consider moving back to East Chicago. But right now, I live in Maryville with my family.
Well, your husband's going to be a saint.
He is a saint. He's
You're-
married to
hey,
me.
MX,
let's talk
MX,
facts.
you're
Let's
making.
talk facts.
I was going to say you're making a lot of personal comments here that I don't think are that
Well, she called me a
appropriate.
racist because I had a Trump sign. That's a personal
When did I
comment.
call you a racist,
Yes,
MX?
you did.
When
And
did I
we're on
call?
the tape
Wait,
back.
when did I call you a racist? I don't recall that. Now I
Well,
might
you
have
did,
called
and
that other
everybody
guy
knows
whose
it.
name begins with an M a racist, but I don't recall calling you a racist.
Yes, you said MX, and you could ask Mad Mac. But I'm not into
Oh,
that.
you know
Let's
what? I
talk
think that had
facts.
to
Let's
do with
talk
that.
facts.
That
Slow down.
I
Let's
think
talk
it had to
facts.
do with the picture of President Barack Obama in a tree with his legs wrapped around it. Yeah, I might have called you a racist. Yeah, go ahead,
Well,
wear that
you
shoe.
know what? Keith Richards was up in a tree, too. Same tree. You see a racist? No, I don't think so. I think your views or where you were taught was really biased.
All right,
And it
you
shows.
better get to
You
some
know nothing
substance
about
there.
how I
Okay,
was
let's
taught,
go.
but go ahead.
911. 911 didn't happen. I go up to St. Cloud in the name of Allah in the mall. Lucky one of them locals had a gun to stop in the name of Allah. St. Cloud's not the same. I've been up there 60 times. They have huge trouble in Minnesota, Minneapolis, with Somalis. Here's another thing, too. FBI James Comey said we need to vet it better. We've got to stop. And also, Trump is doing is what the people asked, because Trump is president. And it's just a ban for a little while to get things organized. And so for the safety of people. This is about the safety of Americans. And
All right, you got it, you got it.
An actual video.
All right, I got you. I appreciate your comment.
Look at the video.
What
Muslims
video?
Stoning Christians in Dearborn, Michigan. It seems like everywhere they go, it's over religion, and people are getting hurt. They've been fighting over there for years. I don't want none of it here, Jed. I really don't.
So what do you want to do in the long run? Do you want to close our borders from everyone coming in there, MX?
I want to do exactly what Trump says. This is not a total ban. Trump is enforcing what Obama had written down about these 6 nations. He's only enforcing Obama's law. And
All
I
right,
think
good enough.
it's
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
So we don't want the extremism coming here. What do you think is going to happen now that we've banned? These extremist groups are looking at this as a total victory. That look what they're doing. That please tell me that's not going to start stoking the fires of extremism and start waking up these cells that hate America.
Is that the real danger?
One of there's many dangers, but
Let's go through them right now, and I agree with that part of it. I think that when you do these kind of actions, that there is there's a holy moly. Let's hope like hell that that does not happen. Okay, now what are some of the other dangers?
Well, I think one of the biggest dangers also is this ban or this alleged ban. I think it's all a cover for what's stuff that they're trying to pull in the in terms of the power structure in the White House. I think the ban was not something that didn't need to happen, but it's smoke and mirrors because now everybody's up in arms about it. But meanwhile, he's putting Steve Bannon in, as a person, as someone who belongs in the NHS.
When you looked at the swearing in of those White House staff and you saw, the lack of diversity, what was it? Omarosa was the one black. I don't know if there was one Hispanic.
Steve Harvey was supposed to be, I thought, on the, on the thing.
In the White House staff, right?
Yeah, something. Right.
Okay. We're making America great, though, Michelle.
Yep.
219-845-1100. Let's see how Bob's doing on Carpenter's Local 599 line. Bob, how's it going?
Good. I don't know if this has been covered, but when the World Trade Center was originally blown up, you remember when they drove the vans down underneath and they tried to blow up
Right,
the
in
building?
the 90s, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that because our immigration was too strict? When the guy went nuts at Fort Hood, was that because our immigration was too strict? When they flew the planes into the tower, was it because our immigration was too strict? When they went off in Florida, was it because it was too strict? When they blew up, when they killed a bunch of people at a theater in France, was that because their immigration was too strict? When they drove a van into a bunch of crowd in Germany, was that because it was too strict? When they killed a bunch of people at a magazine, was that because immigration was too strict?
Where are you going with this?
There's nut jobs out there that will kill you just because you literally don't agree with their religion. If you say I don't agree with it, your head can get cut off. And all this worry about what is the reaction going to be. For God's sakes, people, look what has happened already in this world, not just this nation, in this world, without real provocation. They flew planes into buildings and killed thousands of people. Was that because our immigration was too strict? You're looking at this through the eyes of a child, it seems like. You are not dealing with a rational group of people. And I don't mean all Muslims, and I don't mean all people who practice Islam. But you have a sect in there that is beyond reason, people. Do you realize that? How would you suggest we deal with truly that lack of respect for life?
All right, let's leave that question right there. How would you expect us to deal with this, Michelle Quinn? You first.
I would ask, how do we deal with the psycho-Christians that we have in this country?
Okay, we're not worried about the psycho-Christians right now. Can we stay on topic? See, how do you deal with radical Muslims who will put a person in a cage and light them on fire?
Sort of like they did down in the civil rights movement when they killed the three young men, two which happened to be white and one black, when they came down to register people to vote. Sort of like that. Or sort of like how the Alfred Merrill building in Oklahoma City was bombed and all those little children and people lost their lives. For every act of Muslim terrorists that you just mentioned, I can give you one of Christian terrorism as well.
I can tell you what we don't do. Why we don't give them more fuel for the fire.
Okay, so should we have our immigration be less restrictive? Would that show that we are so open-hearted, so kind, so loving, so forgiving? Would you go in the opposite direction? I'm asking you, would you open our borders? Would you ease the regulation for entry into
I would not ease any regulations. I believe in extreme vetting. I don't have a problem with vetting individuals that come into. I have a problem with banning. But I don't have a problem with vetting at all. Because when you ban, then you lump everybody together as one. You're not looking at the individual. You're looking at a group of people at a country, and you're saying they're all bad.
No, we are not. We are banning all travel from these countries.
Exactly. All. That's what I just said. That doctor, you know what? That doctor that was scheduled to operate on somebody's grandmother right now in, say, Michigan is now not able to come back from his family's funeral over there in Yemen because he's being vetted. He's being banned from traveling. You're putting everybody together and you're lumping them together instead of taking each individual case on a case-by-case basis.
And how long would that take?
Hey, Bob, thank you. Very good discussion. I appreciate it. Let's go to Dan on line 2. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Jed, Burley, and Michelle?
Yes. Morning, Dan.
Hi.
Oh, my goodness. Donald. It's like Mirror on the Wall, who's the most popular, and the mirror tells him someone else, and he goes, throws that in the mirror, well, give me another magic mirror. Keeps on going through the whole thing. And then he goes, how's my hair look? But that's the way I think of it. But really, if he would have banned the Muslim countries, he should have banned them all. He's in Saudi Arabia. But he just a few that are poor and had nothing to really do with the United States or his businesses.
Exactly. That's the point.
That's what
the businesses.
Caller said, exactly. Where he has interest.
Yep.
He has a lot of interest, and the judge, that's coming out. That's Donald. That's the real Donald. 50s and 60s. The woman belongs in the home, not on a powerful position in the United States. That's him. He's living in the past. He still has that mentality, and there's nothing else you can do. The Republicans are probably pulling their hair out, all these politicians, because they know you got a firecracker in that White House.
Firecracker.
Thanks a lot,
You're
Dan.
being kind.
You went mild.
Yeah.
Let's go to Pete on line 3, then we'll go to Bridget. Hey, Pete, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jed. About this Muslim ban, for one, it's not a Muslim ban. They're banning those countries. The Muslim religion is not a loving religion. I don't know. I know it's already been kind of discussed, but it isn't. And so that's all I got to say. President Trump, we have to let him do what he's going to do. And of course, we have to scrutinize him every little bit. But we have to respect the president. We have to respect him.
Just like they did with Barack Obama.
Oh, great respect for him.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete, what do you want to let him do?
I want him to be the president. And we're not letting him be the president. When Barack Obama came into office, we let him be the president. Yeah, there were people out there that were against him. And there's going to be people against Trump. I understand that. But the media and his supporters and America have to be behind the president, or this is never going to work. What do we want, anarchy? Do we really want anarchy? We have to come together and unite and work with this current administration and change it from the inside. It doesn't do any good to keep throwing up our arms and fighting and fighting and fighting. We have, if we want to make change, we have to come from the inside.
What would anarchy look like?
Total chaos. I mean, we're protesting every time this guy takes a wrong bathroom break. Holy crap! Come on, like let him just do his job, and let's see where the chips fall. He's not banning all Muslims for the rest of their freaking life. He's taking it step by step and getting a sense of what's going on. We've been smoked in mirrors for 8 years, and let's give the guy a chance.
Thanks for your call, Pete. I appreciate it.
It's
Michelle, you're
funny
making
he
faces.
said that he respected the president, and then he just accused it of being smoke and mirrors for 8 years. So
Well, no, I was going to say, did anybody see the tweet yesterday that all of a sudden the Muslim or the ban happened because it was a computer glitch at Delta coming from our president?
219-845-1100. Let's continue on to Bridget on line 4. Hey, Bridget, you're on with Michelle Quinn and Verley Suggs. What's going on?
Good morning.
Hi, Bridget. You're going to talk about the theater. What did I get wrong?
Well, no, I'm not going to talk about the theater.
Oh.
I just wanted to maybe draw a line between the two. My husband and I kind of joke because there's like this 70s song called The Lunatic Fringe.
Yes.
In Highland and probably in the United States right now. What we did was kind of, we're catering to a small group of people that is really strange in their beliefs, and it's putting the rest of us in a really anxious spot and not allowing much progress, you know. So like when I'm thinking of Highland, I stopped working on that because I knew that wasn't going to happen when I stopped. There was no way we were ever going to build that. And I'm not going to have boundaries. Like I don't work for nothing,
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And so when I knew that wasn't going to go through, I went to work somewhere else. So give my talents where it would be used, not where I'm wasting my time.
And appreciate it.
Right.
But what happens is you get someone in there or a group, and I don't know, honestly, even having run, I still haven't figured out what it is that they have going on. But they are there for some other reason besides service. And so your leadership and your, the things that you want to do, those things have to be from a heart of service. And so we've got people who are there like for their self, and a lot of people have said Trump is like narcissistic, or that word has come up a lot. There's some other thing driving people that it's more about that you're there, that you're in office, that you have a name or a purpose, and it's coming above what's best for people. And it's really just completely sabotaging progress. And in the larger scheme, like in the U.S., it's causing a lot of people quite a bit of anxiety. They're
absolutely.
actually, sadness. And so this chaos that kind of results makes it so it takes 8 years to get nothing done in the theater's case.
Hey, listen. Hey, Bridget, let me ask you this. So I'm a little confused. Do you agree with the recent directive by Donald Trump to ban immigration from 7 Muslim countries?
No, I don't agree with that at all.
What do you think? It
I don't
think it says to people?
It says to people, you should be afraid. And when people are afraid, they act poorly.
Yep.
When they're confused and afraid, they act poorly.
Yep.
And any leader should know that that's a very, very bad strategy. So
And that's
whether
what they
or not
want.
you want people to come in the country or not, your strategy should be one that maintains the esteem of the people who live in your country. And what he's doing is tearing apart the community. And community is everything. It's everything. Because you see that even in our town. Highland can't progress because there's not a sense of community. We follow nasty Facebook pages. We follow old men who type behind their computers and they hate everybody. We focus on them. We don't focus on community. So what's happening? Nothing. So this Trump strategy is scare everybody. You can get the job done. You can vet your borders. You can do all these things, but there's no eloquence at all. Nothing he's ever said helps people to feel at ease, to feel confident, to feel that they should invest, to make progress, to do these things. He's just scaring people and creating chaos. Well, I don't know whether he knows he's doing it. I myself think yes. But we chose someone who doesn't have enough self-control to give our country the peace of mind it needs. And as we stir ourselves up and feel anxious, and we feel angry and we hate our neighbor, none of those things are good.
You're absolutely right.
Right on, Bridget. Right.
Bridget,
Great
thanks
call.
for your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go to Tony on line 1. Tony?
Hey, Jeb, it's Tony. I've been in the construction trade for about 30 years. I have built Muslim prayer mosques, and I just want people to know this. We're allowed to go into the mosque until the rugs are in, and once the rugs are in, we aren't allowed to be in their mosque because we're infidels. It's happened to me on 3 of the mosques I've built. I'm not going to say the names. The men have their washrooms upstairs, and they have bidets to wash their feet, and the women go downstairs. The question I have is when countries like Iran said we're racist because we don't let the Muslims in, why can't we as Christians go to Iran and get a visa and put up a Christian church? Fair is fair.
Tony, by the way, are you the Tony I know and I haven't seen you in a long time?
Yes, sir.
It's good to hear your voice, buddy. Hey, let's look at this. You've built mosques. What is your general feeling about how these Muslims treat women?
I think if we're a country and we believe in gays and we believe in the women's right, and the Muslims come here because we're a great country. We're a country that lets people express their views. But their views are racist towards the people that came to America. We're immigrants. We came to America from Germany, from Poland, from Mexico. And my grandpa said the greatest thing to me in 1971, Sonny, I come from Slovak to be American. I leave Slovak at home. I eat Slovak food at home. I work at U.S. Steel. I'm an American. I dress like an American. I act like an American. America is a land of immigrants that believe in their culture and want to be American. And this is what our country's about.
Do you believe that Muslims are doing what your dad told you?
Nope. They want Sharia law. That was my grandpa, who was a Slovak.
Yeah, your
He
grandpa.
came to America. And I feel Teddy Roosevelt had a quote, "You come to America to become an America. You come to a melting pot, and you believe in the culture of America."
So are
And
Muslims doing this or not? What are they not doing?
No, they aren't following the creed to be an American. They want Sharia law. They want this and they want that. They're not following the rules.
All right, we're going to talk about it. Thanks. Good to hear you, buddy. Don't be a stranger.
Bye.
Do you know that in some synagogues the women sit separately from the men?
in the real Orthodox ones,
Exactly.
right?
Right. And in some of the Orthodox and Hasidic communities, the women are not allowed to wear pants.
Yeah, same with the IFB, the Independent Baptists,
fundamental
yeah,
Christians.
Yeah.
Does he have a point? In other words, let's look at all of this immigration. Michelle, where originally did your folks emigrate from?
Depends on which folks you're asking
Let's go
about.
your mom's side.
My mom is, well, remember, I have two moms. I've got one who is Slovak-Hungarian. The other is, they were Polish and Croatian.
Eastern Europe, almost all the way across the way.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe, okay? They come here, and to the most part, I'm the same way, mostly Eastern European and Eastern Germany.
Right.
And you get people that have, for the most part, assimilated into American culture.
Sure.
You have a lot in this country of Europeans. You have a lot of Hispanics.
Yep.
Now, maybe 20, 30, 50 years ago, maybe they weren't assimilating as much, but there's a lot of assimilation. A lot of African Americans that have assimilated into American culture. Can we say the same about the Muslim population?
What do you mean by assimilation? Just because they choose to wear, women choose to wear hijab?
Let me put it this way. Does Tony have a point?
I don't. If you're going by the church, aren't we supposed to be able to practice the way we want to practice? Because other churches, it's just, if other American churches are allowed to practice the way they do, the Jews, the Christians and stuff, why can't they?
No one's saying that they can't practice their religion, but he's sitting there and he's saying that they are separate bathrooms for the men and women. They want Sharia law that is practiced in certain areas. They want to be able to
separate bathrooms for men and women. Hasn't that been something we've been fighting about for this past year over bathroom usage?
I'm trying to get you guys to talk about this directly.
No, I understand.
Does he have a point? Because the point that he is making is widely held.
You know what? To me, it is a point of separatism. Yes, that is their practice, and that is their right to practice that. I bet you everybody who's going to Sharks doesn't realize that the people who own it are probably Muslim. Or if you go down here to Dunkin' Donut, they're all owned by people from India. So, there are different groups that have different types of business. There was a young boy who went to Bishop Knoll with my daughter who was not, there's lots of non-Christians at Bishop Knoll and Andrean who was of the sect that wore a turban to school. His father owned Busy Corner in East Chicago, the drugstore. So there are differences in this global world we live in. And I think part of it is this Midwest community, because your future son-in-law, I'm going to say, your daughter has moved to New York. And I
didn't know you have a future son-in-law.
Well, I'm just going to say one day he may be. Come on, it's progressing in that matter.
All right.
We'll just watch.
He talked about the difference between this Midwest community and the way people think versus what it's like in New York City, where I grew up. So we're used to seeing people from all over the world living in our community, and those people are in our lives. I remember when the Russian Jews came over to New York because of the persecution that was taking place to them in Russia, where they could not practice their religion, or in Japan, where Christians couldn't practice being Christians. This has happened. Iran is not the only place that doesn't have a Christian church. Judaism, Christianity, the Islamic faith have been fighting in Jerusalem for years. So it's nothing new. And to say that you build a church and yes, they don't want you in it because the rugs are down, well, so be it. Why are you taking their money in the first place if you have a problem with that? Don't build their mosque if you have a problem with them not wanting you in it after it's been blessed and is a sacred place for them. You don't respect their religion, and that's why they don't want you in there.
Let's go to Dennis. Final call. Then us three are out of here, and then we'll hand it over to Sam Michael. Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay. The Mormon church has an inner sanctuary that only Mormons are allowed into also. So
right. Thank you. Right.
Let's ban all the white Mormons from the country, too. But and there is a small Christian population in Iran, and it is persecuted. And those of us who are not mentally insane in this country feel that persecution is wrong, just like persecution of the people of the Islamic faith here in the U.S. is wrong. And you talked earlier about what's the danger in this whole thing, and this cat's already out of the bag, really. But what Donald Voice did was give a voice. What Donald Trump did was give a voice to the racist views that people sort of held quietly in this country before.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just a torrent, and you hear it on your own radio station every day, every minute. Guys calling in saying they're racist stuff.
Oh, but they're not racist, though.
No, right. They're just conservative, is what they like to call themselves.
Yes.
So look, if
But
you're an old
I'm
white
racist
guy,
because I pointed out.
Yeah.
if you're an old white guy like myself, then and you look like them, then they're cool with you. But if you don't look like them, then they don't want you around. So it's sad, this country is moving backwards in just a few months.
To 10 days, 11 days now.
What's your fear, Dennis?
Well, racism has been at the heart of most of this country's problems for 200 years, 300 years. Since day one of this country. Since they wrote the Constitution and only allowed generally white property holders to cast votes. So it's a problem at the heart of this country for a long time. It looked like, starting with the Civil Rights Act, that maybe we were moving forward, but it seems like now we're taking big steps back, and that just tears the country apart.
Leave it right there. Thanks a lot, Dennis. Carpenter's local 599 phone line. Michelle, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun today.
I know as a reporter, you don't get up that early because you're always covering stuff at night.
Yes.
So this is tough. I know that. And you know what? We did not even get to talk about something that we are all three part of, and that is the media and what is the role being here. I mean, I've never...
is all our fault. It's the media. We are the cause of all evil in everything and everyone, and don't trust us.
Hitler's rise to power.
Yep.
Just read about it.
Yep.
Burley, how you feeling today?
I feel fantastic. I just celebrated Michael's 60th birthday this past weekend.
Yay.
Happy birthday, Michael, and had a ball, and
What'd you
life
guys
is
do?
good. I had a party for him at the Cigar Bar on Saturday night.
Nice.
And then rented out a jazz club and had a band and everything Sunday
right.
afternoon. So we had so much fun.
That's a good time.
60 years old.
60 years old. So he gets a discount at Strack as well. We could have been getting it all along, just didn't know.
I'm out. Sam Michael's in. Thanks a lot to Verley, and thanks a lot to Michelle. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks, Mike Gozdecki.